And I think we are live. I believe we are live.
It's starting up for me.
Hello everybody and welcome once again to Digibro versus everybody, the show where I argue with anybody who calls in and wants to fucking argue about some shit. I think we all know the rules at this point. I think it's been pretty well established. So let's just go ahead and bring in the first motherfucker right away.
Alright, I'm gonna get Dean the Defender in, returning guest. I did promise that he can come back on. I'm gonna let him in right now.
Alrighty.
Hey dude, you there?
Dean, you around? You're sure you unmuted him, right?
I did unmute him. He does say he's away though.
Away? Well, sounds like we'll have to save him for second.
Well, message me when you come back, I suppose.
Oh, you should meet me in front of the, the drop ship so you can team up.
Yeah.
Alright, who are we bringing in next?
Agent Lynch?
Agent Lynch. Is he in yet?
He's in now.
Agent Lynch, you there? Hello? Did I... Not ready yet. Alright, well, bring in the next... God damn it, don't get in the calls if you're not ready. Alright, fucking bring in the next guy.
Let's get Howard_Blast.
Howard Blast?
Yo.
Blast.
Yo,
Howard, you there? What up?
Yeah. Also known by Libido Common, but yeah.
Libido Common. What you want to argue about, dude?
Alright, so this is something that is very important to me. I'm pretty passionate about. We got your current pinned video right now, the accepted mediocrity thing.
Yes.
All right, so the problem here is that you're suggesting that the industry should consolidate and, cut the fat and whatever. And I think you also let me know if my mic cuts out.
You sound good so far.
For example, I mean, you even suggested that it should funnel resources into something like Mahotsukai no Yome, which was, like an awful show.
I don't think I was suggesting that they should funnel resources, just that they were or maybe I did suggest that they could promote it more if it's a big deal, because that show did get a lot of promotion.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I think that show was pushed. I mean, that show show smelled like shit. I mean, Gigic had like a video going on. I mean, like so many people I think had. I don't have enough time to watch everyone, but like, just like for some reason the show was being profusely praised, and to me, because it just smelled like shit. Because I am positive that there is a plan to divide the industry, to get people to divide fandom, try to give power.
Okay, first of all, whose plan?
Okay, well, for one, you remember the Flying Colors Foundation?
Yeah.
All right, those, I mean, that might have seemed like just a group of stupid people who fucked up, but I mean, that thing has huge implications.
Like such as what?
Well, okay, for one, for one, they had ties to Korea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I mean, what do you mean? Like, they are Korean, if that's what you mean by ties to Korea.
Yeah, no, but they're the same. One of the dudes was one of the, he was also part of the thing that, got, like Filthy Frank and those guys? Is
88
promoting
Rising.
Them.
One of them was involved with
88 Rising, which is 88 Rising. I mean, that thing smells like shit. You just look at that thing. It came out of nowhere, and it's like getting people like major Chinese commercial deals and shit. Like, that's not natural. That smells.
Why does that sound? I don't understand how a company deciding that they just want to promote artists and try to like be a record company. What about that smells so wrong to you? Like, is there anything they've done that is suspicious in your mind? Like,
absolutely.
Can you give me an example?
Well, the example is how quickly they got, because they got some of those dudes like major Chinese like what commercial
Korean.
deals?
I think it's mostly Korean people who work with them.
Yeah. They took whatever the story was. They produced some serious heavy duty results
Yeah.
in a short amount of time, and you know, because obviously like Korea is a really fucked up, corrupt country. I'm not talking about the North one only. I'm talking about the South one as well. And
I
I mean,
don't know what exactly your basis for that is, but I mean, I would say all countries are corrupt and awful.
no,
so-
I mean, but like Korea is especially corrupt because, for one, I mean, do you know what SoftBank is? It's
No.
like the biggest. Well, it's like the biggest. I don't know, company conglomerate thing in Japan,
Mhm.
and that's owned by like a Korean guy. And there's a lot of these
All right, hold on. I'm going to cut you off because you're hitting me with a lot of disparate information at once. So to refocus, what is something that 88 Rising's done that you find like so suspicious?
just how quickly they got shit big.
'Cause,
really.
like,
just how
the
how
way that-
easily, how quickly.
The way that they presented it to me, that how they accomplished that, was simply that they had taken a bunch of Korean American artists and basically shipped them to Korea because they were performing a style that just didn't exist in Korean rap. Like they were taking this like hard trap sound that's popular on the internet and sort of the cloud rap influence, and that's not really something that was heard in Korea at the time. So these people blew up by sort of popularizing this sound. And now granted, I do think that I don't know if there's nothing shady at all happening in terms of like how they run their company, but I don't know that there's any like negative intentions behind whatever they're doing. Like I don't get why you think that they're trying to divide people, or where is that coming from?
Okay, well, first of all, okay, this was one of the notes I wrote for the Flying Colors Foundation real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It was pegged for collecting data with an intent on selling.
Yes.
And one of the guys there worked for Loot Crate.
Yeah.
Loot Crate is a piece
He
of
was
shit.
their data management like guy or
Right.
data collection guy.
That makes sense, yeah. I think you even said I think you said that one of them was like an arms dealer or something.
Yes, one of them was like a military arms dealer.
Yeah, and that is like
About
You
as
know,
shady
whatever.
a job as you could describe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And one of them was part of 88 Rising. And 88 Rising, I found an article that it barely popped up 2 years ago, and it got some American music. I saw an article where it was like it got American musicians a major TV commercial in China with Sprite.
Yeah.
And they present themselves like they're grassroots, and it's like that's a lie. You know, this like kind of grassroots. Hey, we want to do some promotion.
I think that they present themselves that way insofar as they are a very small group, but they work with like I think that basically the strategy they use is they try to team up with bigger organizations. Like
Exactly.
what the Flying Colors had told me their plan was to team up with the fucking Japanese government.
Exactly, because this is the Flying Colors. Their plan was to take a bunch of stupid data from like some retarded poll that really is just chaos and meant nothing. And
For what
use
it's worth, I think that poll only came about when they failed to get the Japanese government on their side, which they never admitted to me, but that is my suspicion. Because
So you think, yeah.
Because December last year was when they were supposed to strike the deal. Like, they sent their guys to Japan, and I was still talking to them at this time. They were like, we've sent our guys, we're going to talk to the Japanese government and try to get some kind of, like, just organize some kind of grant or something like that, because they saw it as, like, anime is a huge cultural export for Japan. They're trying to promote it worldwide. So if we can get the government to back our ideas of how to promote anime worldwide, maybe they'll work with us, and we'll be able to create a new paradigm, in a very short time. I think that fell through because after December, they disappeared for about 3 months, and I never heard any word about the government thing again. So
Yeah,
and then suddenly
see,
they had a big shitty poll that was their next thing, and that's why I was not interested in promoting that because I thought it was garbage.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and that's exactly the problem. The whole spreading anime, as I said, the globalization of anime. That is an awful thing. That
Why?
is not something we want.
Why do we not want the globalization of anime?
Because we're gonna start putting power into all the wrong people's hands. Like, for example, like what if Crunchyroll got really powerful? What if Crunchyroll actually had?
Is that a? I mean, I don't know if I think Crunchyroll is like an awful company or anything. Like,
Well, they're full of people. Like, for example, I mean, they support any sort of like, for example, like have you ever heard of like Anime for Humanity?
no.
What is
well,
that?
it's this. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was this thing that was like talking about like, I don't know, like helping mental illness.
I just like okay. I get the general sense that you have a lot of distrust for any kind of like organization that tries to do like a thing that looks weird.
Well, okay, because you gotta realize that this is a common strategy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, people don't want. I mean, if you just look at the publishing industry,
Right.
and how it just became the big six for like years, decades and decades, and with that consolidation, you can just have a few companies just literally control and filter everything. And they can even the sickest part about it now is that with data, you can even control zeitgeist, because that's why I think it's so poisonous.
You know, I think people think they can control the zeitgeist, but I think we can see, and granted, to some extent they can. Like, I think that Marvel has a pretty big stranglehold on the public consciousness of, I guess, the whole world. But at the same time, we see things like this new Star Wars movie being a huge fucking bomb because nobody gives a fuck anymore. And like, ultimately, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You know. And I think in the internet age, it's harder and harder to make like young people, especially, drink the Kool-Aid on shit like that.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So do you know about the anime To Be Heroine that was made in joint with China and Japanese animators?
Oh yeah. That thing.
I think that Japan is part of the problem. Like, they did so much censorship and like.
Yeah, you're saying like because they changed the way the show was in Japan.
Like, possibly 3 whole episodes worth of animation would be cut because the Japanese like television didn't want whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
Wait, so
I
that
just
was
thought
a
it would
thing
be an interesting like example.
That thing was made in China?
Yeah, To Be Heroine is like a Chinese. It's I think there's Japanese staffers involved with it, but it's primarily Chinese staff. But like, it's extremely experimental, extremely postmodern. And when they brought it to Japan, they censored a lot of stuff from it on TV. I think the point she's essentially trying to make is that like some of the global anime that's being made is doing really like envelope pushing and different shit that Japan might be holding back some of. So like maybe markets like China, maybe we need to globalize so that we can explore things Japan won't let us see. The same similar story with all these all Japanese companies working with Netflix have talked about how Netflix allows them to do a lot of things that they can't really get away with in Japan. Do you see that as like a... I'm still not entirely certain exactly what your issue with globalization of anime is, but
well, basically,
these are some
like, for
things
example,
I see as positive elements.
like take Maho Sky no Yome, for example. Like that to me, that thing's popularity to me just spelled out like what the fuck is wrong with.
Are you trying to say that you think that show is only popular because it was pushed?
I think it was popular for these reasons. You know what the main reason I think it was popular for? I think it was the main reason it was popular, and not because it was different in a substantial way. It was because it was different in this almost. People were able to. I know like Gigic did this, and I think some other people did this. And they said, oh yeah, it's like contrast this to like the
That's a pretty good Gigic.
the JRPG, the shallow JRPG settings of like ReZero and all this shit. It's like
well, okay, so you're trying to say that the West was into it because we think it's refreshing compared to typical anime, or that's how we're trying to portray it? Is that what you think?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, do you not think that like Japanese audiences also want some new shit? like that they might want to, because that Mahou Tsukai no Yome is not only popular in the West, it's popular in Japan. I mean, it was already a successful manga.
Which is extremely disconcerting. I mean, there's no question.
You know what I think is the cause of Mahou Tsukai no Yome's popularity is there's more women watching anime now.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly part of it, and like I mean you're seeing more and more shoujo work show up each season, which I don't want to go out and say that that's disconcerting, but one thing I can say, for example, is like you take a show like the recent show that just aired right now, like Wotakoi, you know, Otaku Love or whatever.
Right.
A show like that is disconcerting because it's like a show like that is so easy to get like non-otaku watching anime. Like, oh, this is cute. I
think the point of that show is to try to inspire Japanese otaku to fuck. Well, I think there's a huge movement in anime trying to get otaku to fuck.
Not just
and
in
that's
anime.
That's another thing that is disconcerting too. Like there was a show like there's that show like Surrey Children, and then there was Scum's Witch which I didn't see. But that's another thing. Like you take shows like that, and like, what the fuck are these shows? Like they don't
They're just,
have.
Wait. What do you mean? What the fuck? Surrey Children's like a totally standard rom-com. Like,
yeah,
it's the same kind of shit that's existed for all time.
Yes, and no. I mean, there's.
What is so different about that show?
No. There's nothing that different about it. It's just there's this like subtle edge to it. It's designed to you know, bring in more interest. Basically, I'm seeing across the board, and this is definitely happening in Japan, that
the chat is starting to next you.
Well, hold on. So I think what you're getting at basically is that the globalization of anime is changing what anime gets made, but I just don't understand what the problem is.
There's a push. In the nutshell, there's a push against otaku. There's this idea that like, that what is actually the backbone of otaku culture, what is actually, you know, and that's why like there's no end to this like this bizarre like crusade against like light novels.
I don't think that this will, like, I agree with what you're saying now, that there's definitely, especially in the West, like a crusade against like kowtowing to the otaku, but like. And I agree with that crusade simply because I think that anime is such a huge and diverse medium that, like, it's pointlessly limiting to focus so much on otaku media, and I don't think those shows are going to go away, or that, like, by promoting this other stuff that we lose out on those somehow.
I mean, this decade has already been seeing a decline in, like, in the actual, like, otaku confidence and shit, and, like, and just the works are becoming disconcertingly helter-skelter, and
I just think that I think we're in a world. Here's what I think is happening. I think we're in a world where the idea of what otaku were 10 years ago can't survive, because the idea of the otaku 10 years ago was a bunch of people holed up in their room being hikikomori, using the internet as an escape from a world that doesn't understand them or that they don't understand, or both. And I don't think that I don't think the world can function that way anymore, because now that everyone's on the internet, there is no seclusion anymore. There's no way for you to be really all alone in your room, and being all alone in your room was a huge problem for Japan, that their birth rate is in decline. They've got all these people who aren't joining the workforce at the age when they would be hoped to. Like, it's bad for humanity to embrace, like, the otaku image, and if anything, I think it's like the existence of otaku is a symptom of a broken culture. Like, I don't think otaku, even if we are proud of ourselves for being different, and I think that that's something to be embraced, and I wholeheartedly, agree with anime that present that side of like Samurai Champloo, for instance, is very much anti, like, Japanese mindset, anti shikata ga nai, or like you can't do anything. It's all about being yourself and sort of being the freak you want to see. But I think that most otaku media is more about being just comfortable and complacent about being an otaku, and I don't think that that's a healthy mindset for people to have. And like, if anything, I would hope that media was trying to push otaku out of that comfort zone. And I think that shows like that Wotakoi show are mostly there to, like, tell you, hey, if you're one of these otaku and you think that, like, you're never going to get a girl because there's, you're a shut-in in your room, turns out there is a whole bunch of girls who feel the same way, who are into the same stuff, who are out there, and you should go try to meet some of them and fucking repopulate this goddamn country, you know?
Yes, and that's exactly the problem. The problem is that otaku built their entire selves on the fact that they're criticizing society, really. That's why they became NEETs and shit, because they're like, society is fucked, and like it's lost its good values, it's lost its strong. I mean, if you talk about, like, for example, like Moe was originally, it's essentially a criticism of society, because it reflects this ideal of, like, purity and a maintenance on identity, and a lack of being affected by, like,
you're saying this like it's a positive thing or something, though. Like, it's,
well, no, it isn't. It is a positive thing. The otaku were literally built on like that's exactly what I found, and that's why, like, shit, like, works have lost their bite this decade and shit, because they become just compare the comiquette scene from Lucky Star to the comiquette scene in Maid Dragon. In Lucky Star, it's like it proudly depicts the otaku as, like, dame creatures, as, like, it's the fat ugly otaku that's all obsessed. And then you get Maid Dragon that's trying to be like, oh no, it's the otaku, we're cool, like, we well,
that's because the perception of what otaku are in Japan has shifted dramatically over the last decade. And Lucky Star would have come out around the same time as Densha Otoko, when, like, when otaku was becoming more accepted and less of a bunch of, seen as a bunch of fucking psycho killers. So I think that the importance of being a flag-waving otaku, like, it was a lot more important back in the day when we were misunderstood and there were people who thought we were, a bunch of fucking pedophiles and murderers. But, like, now that people generally are accepting of otaku, I don't think we need to fight that battle anymore. Like,
well,
we should just...
This is the thing. I don't think the end goal of otaku was acceptance. I think that's something that a lot of the otaku have become, fooled by, that they originally just want. I don't think they wanted acceptance. I think the otaku could have had acceptance in the first place. I mean, as an otaku, you can have acceptance in the first place if you just don't act like a fucking idiot and hold yourself up in a room. So I really don't think acceptance was what they were looking for.
I think it... I mean, if you're saying that you can just act normal, nobody can just act normal. Like, what I'm saying is they wanted to be accepted as who they are. Like, we wanted people to say, like, hey, you like anime and that doesn't make you a freak, Like,
right, exactly.
Nobody wants to be thought of as a freak by society.
No, absolutely. And I think the thing is they want to be accepted, but they also want their values accepted. And I think what's happened is we've had a watering down of otaku values.
That is a more interesting argument that I could see. I would have to study it more to decide whether I agree. I don't know how much of it is a watering down, so much as that a lot of the things we stood for did eventually get accepted and don't really need to be fought for anymore. Like,
I
think that society is moving in a direction where it's more, well, I won't say it's more accepting of varied viewpoints so much as that I think the reason that everyone seems so hostile online now, the reason that there's so much fighting, is that it's no longer just one voice dominating. Like, there's no longer this conception of, like, oh, the normies who have all the power, and this is what it means to be a normie, and here's what it means to be alternative. It's like, now there's two entire, or three, or however many, gigantic voices that are all fighting each other. And in the end, what we have to do is decide on, like, a new paradigm. Like, we have to factor in what everybody's saying and ultimately be like, okay, well, here's what society's going to look like after we've taken into account what everyone's saying. But the fact that the voices of otaku are even being taken seriously at all in that sphere, in that conversation, is progress. Like, it used to be that people would look at you and say, well, you look funny, so you're not worth listening to, and I think we've gotten away from that, so...
Well, yeah, certainly, but I'm just saying, like, at what cost? Because, like, I mean, it's... So
do you just want otaku media to be, like, edgier again, or, like...
Well, no, I mean, I just want it first and foremost to ground itself in the otaku spirit. I mean, again, like, for some reason, there's a lot of, like, flack for something like, like ReZero, for example, which is actually, it's a very good illustrator of the otaku spirit. It's a very good illustrator of the
but that show is extremely successul and beloved.
And I think that's
by
one
most
of the
people.
reasons a lot of people get pissed at shit like that. They get pissed at SAO. They get pissed at, I don't know. You were really pissed at. Like,
I get pissed at those shows because I think they represent a negative aspect of otaku spirit, which is to ignore your own, well, not so much ReZero, but like in SAO's case, it doesn't really give Kirito the flaws that he needs as a person to be reflective for otaku. He is a otaku wish fulfillment fantasy. He just gets what he wants, and he just is a badass because he plays video games. He's capable of saving the world and being the coolest guy because he's just good at games. And all that offers for otaku is validation for being themselves, but without challenging them to think, to make sure that themselves is not a douchebag, like...
Well, yeah, and see, that's exactly the problem, is that there's this idea, like, it's like, oh, I think what a lot of people catch on to is, like, say you even take something more subtle, like Gakuen Toshi Asterisk, which is just kind of pushing this, this big festival of otaku tropes. Yeah. I think what people catch on to is the fact it's like, oh, if I really indulge these things, if I really humor these things and become obsessed with these things, it's almost like I'm inherently going to become, dame, as they say. I'm inherently going to become a dame ningen.
Yeah.
And I think that's honestly the fear, because I've never seen, I'm gonna pull the arrogance card here, and I've never seen anyone actually, do proper critical analysis, actually break it down, be like, how's the animation, how's the character acting, how's the, blah, blah, blah.
Of the Asterisk War? Didn't I do that?
No, of anything. And unfortunately, you didn't. I don't want to be a douche, but it was really just kind of a fairly aspy nitpick nitpick festival.
Okay. I mean, the character acting in the show is basically non-existent. Like, what am I meant to fucking analyze about it? Like, it's just a bunch of stone-faced shitty templates running around doing nothing. Like,
that's technically not true. I mean, I haven't seen the whole show, but I do remember the first episode pretty freshly. There was a lot of good animation.
Oh, no, there was not.
Yeah, what do you do? What the
Go
fuck are you
rewatch
talking
that
about?
shit. There's no good animation in the first episode of fucking
Yes, there
Asterisk.
was. It wasn't like
super nexting this guy now.
Motherfucker. All right, my shit's too advanced for these people.
Oh boy.
Well, I think you're.
If anyone wants to hear more about what I'm saying, check out Libido Common, because this is all the fuck I talk about.
I think I think your point about the otaku mindset getting watered down is interesting. I think that in my mind, you shot yourself in the foot by bringing up ReZero because of the fact that show was so praised for, I think, doing exactly what you want shows to do. I mean, you act like that show was talked down for that reason, but I was like the only person I remember really hardcore shitting on ReZero all that much. Like,
no, I don't think there's a big shitting on it. I just think there's a huge vocal thing, and it's not just ReZero. I just brought up ReZero as a random example because, like, the best example would obviously be like SAO. Although that SAO is a little bit more of a SAO is not so black and white. But the point is like, it's really just in general, there really is this divide between, like, the people who are like, oh, I want anime to not do, like...
I don't think there's a huge divide, because I'd put myself right in the middle. Like, I love otaku media, Otaku no video and shit like that's one of my favorites, but I hate shit like ReZero, So I think there's more nuance to it, and the way you presented it, like it's a conspiracy to eliminate otaku or something, I don't think I can.
Oh no, I'm fucking positive about that. There is serious signs. I mean, I'm working on.
I want you to, if you want to make like some kind of like, if you're gonna write something or do a video, do you have what was your thing you said you were promoting a second ago? Where can I read more about this?
I was just saying Libido Common. I'm slowly. I mean, this isn't my full-time job, unfortunately. Right. I wish it was. But Libido Common, Libido_Common, YouTube. That's my thing.
I'll be interested to see what kind of, like, I want to see evidence. Basically, is what I'm saying. So I'll check you out.
I'm working on it. It's a work in progress.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Before the chat.
All right, peace out, man. Sorry for making everyone pissed.
It's all right. I thought it was interesting.
All right. I promised Flip Skylark he could talk to you.
Alright, get Flip Skylark in here. I don't know how to... Are we still in it? We're not in a quest right now, right?
No.
All these fucking quests are like weird levels.
Hear me?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
You there? I can hear you.
Music. I'm kind of having like YouTube videos running in the background, so my
You might
Stepbrother
want to
doesn't-
turn those off because it's making your shit like your mic's cutting out.
Now?
Say something.
Hello.
You keep like it's like you're coming in late. It's like the first half of everything you say gets cut off. You might need to raise your like gain or something, or your threshold for Discord, like the noise gate.
I can figure out how to do that while you get someone here next, because I haven't.
Actually, you sound good now. So go ahead and tell me what you want to argue about.
Okay, so originally my plan, first of all, was to play Boreal of the Dance Slave from like one of the Dark Souls bosses. I think it was the Dancer, just to set the mood.
Okay.
But I now realize that that's not possible.
Yeah, well, I'll just
like,
picture it in my head. I know the song.
In your head.
Yeah.
I have my first argument.
All right.
For Neverworld is a better rapper than you.
For Neverworld? Does he even rap?
Yeah, he does. That nigga's trash. You can check it out though.
All right. Well, what's your second argument? I can't. I'll have to listen to him before I can confirm or deny whether he's. I
Argument.
significantly doubt he's a better rapper than me, but I'll take your word for it for now. What's your second argument?
Two. I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to piss people off. Okay, actual argument. Flip Skylark.
Yeah.
My name from anywhere else other than this conversation we're having at this exact moment.
Yeah, you okay, so Flip Skylark is a SoundCloud rapper who appeared seemingly out of nowhere, released like 10 tracks in a month, asked me if we would collab. I said yes, released maybe one more song and then disappeared off the face of the earth.
In the chat, don't believe this man. This man is that's a conspiracy theory. The last guy should have been talking about this, okay? That paranoid motherfucker should have been talking about this. Okay?
All right.
Man, I've been a fan of your music and your channel for a while now, but you ghosted me, okay? And
do you want to know why that happened, Flip? It's because you seem to be under the impression that I make my own beats. And I do not, for the most part.
I know you don't make your own beats. I know Shade. I know a Blind Skywalker.
Watcher.
I watched your pretentious ass videos about you analyzing your own lyrics. Them because I'm just as pretentious, and I want to be able to do the same thing someday. Because
you see, okay, let me tell you, most of the time when people tell me they want to collab on a track, or when I tell other people I want them to be on my track, like let's say I want Endless Jess or Nino on a track, usually what I do is I get a beat, I rap over half of it, and then I send it to them and they fill in the other part. So that's what I was expecting you to do when you said that we were going to collab. I was thinking you were going to send me a song and I was just going to spit a verse on it. But then it eventually became clear that you were hoping to pop onto one of my songs. But all of the songs I've been working on have been parts of projects, and I've been working on all these like theme albums and shit, so I don't really have any track where I could fit you on. I mean, if you want to do a song together, just send me a song with a hole in it that you've already rapped on, and I'll match your theme, you know?
I want to match your theme.
Well, alright, well, just get me a beat then. And I'll give you a theme and we could do it.
I have one more argument, and it's a lot of semantics. Like I said earlier, I'm trying to piss people off.
Alrighty.
You consider yourself an anime YouTuber, yes or no?
More or less, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I would consider myself.
Label yourself, not completely, that doesn't, define you, but you label yourself as part of the anime community.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So.
And you say constantly that you are the best anime YouTuber?
I don't say that constantly. I've said it in the past, and maybe I regret those statements. Maybe I rewatched a bunch of Demolition D videos and felt like I was not nearly as good as he was. But, yeah, what's the rest of your argument?
Like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me?
I was just...
I don't know what's wrong with me. I've got a lot of problems. Alright, we gotta get the next guy in here. Sorry,
I don't want to be here anymore.
Your mic is really fucking with me because, like, it cuts out randomly at the start of your statements. But, anyway, yeah. Send me a track, an instrumental, and then we can fucking do something.
Alright, I'm gonna get Doombox in here.
Doombox?
Yeah.
Is that the name? Doombox?
Yo, yo, yo.
Doombox,
Hello?
you there? What's
Can you hear
going
me?
on? Yes, I can hear you.
So,
What you want to
so,
argue about?
First of all, I would like you to check out my webcomic called Cringe Me Daddy.
Crunch me daddy? Is that what you said?
Cringe Me Daddy.
Cringe me daddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I have
Sounds like a
5 arguments, so you
shit
can
webcomic.
choose a random number between 1 to 5.
5.
Okay, 5. Digibro is gay.
Okay.
First of all, you have a tendency to say I am gay.
That's true.
You suck dick.
I have never sucked a dick. I'm not saying I wouldn't.
You sound like you do.
Well, you know. I can't help how I sound. I was born this way.
I've never seen
Okay.
him suck a dick. Well, the chat is nexting the shit out of you, dude.
Wait.
Do you have a better
Actually,
argument?
I have something to tell you.
Yeah?
You remember the anime music video?
You've cut out for me. What was the anime music video you were asking about?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What's the video? It's like
Hello?
it's like when you say the name of it, you are inaudible, but only when you say the name of whatever you're trying to say the name of.
Transfer, the anime music video.
Transfer?
Transfer. Yeah.
I don't remember one called Transfer.
It's with the girl running and the backgrounds are changing.
Oh, yeah. That's a cool one. Yeah, what about it?
Okay. So first of all, I have 1,000-word analysis about the video because it's actually have a meaning. So let me blow your mind.
Okay.
Watch the video again and then look at the old lady.
Uh-huh.
She is the young twat running in the video.
What are you trying to... Are you...
In the video, there's an old lady
Yeah.
pouring water.
Uh-huh.
If you think about the meaning of the video, she is the one running.
So she
Just,
is...
just think about.
She is the
I can send
girl?
you.
Is that
I
what
can
you...
send
I
you
have to
the
watch this
analysis.
video again or else I'm gonna have no... I don't remember an old lady in it at all,
Okay.
so... I'm bringing the next guy. I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about. I'm sorry. Fucking nobody in the audience knows what video we're talking about at all, I'm sure.
Ray the Offbeat Otaku is in here.
There's a familiar name. Get Ray the Offbeat Otaku in here.
Hey.
Hello?
Hello, what's going on? What you want to argue about?
Well, I have some more specific stuff, but I
Okay.
thought I would start off with some of the broader stuff this time.
How many arguments do you have exactly?
Like 4 or 5.
Try to keep it to
probably.
2 if possible.
Yeah, that's the plan.
You could bring back more on a future episode.
Oh yeah, expect me to come back in a few days with some spicy Coheed and Cambria opinions.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
But anyway,
what you got first?
But first, I would like you to clarify something.
Uh-huh.
What did you mean on the first episode of this show when you described yourself as a bridge?
A bridge? Was this when I was
Yes.
also talking about being a translator or anything like that? Because I've been lately talking about that. I think that something I do well is explaining what one person means to another person in a way that they will understand, which is essentially what my entire channel is, but like I also do it a lot in real life, just when I'm around people who are talking to each other and I can tell they don't know what the other person's saying. I try to help bridge the gap of understanding between them. That's what I probably meant by that.
Okay. Because I was thinking about that statement, and I was thinking, at first I thought you meant like you wanted to be a bridge between kind of the more casual side and the more academic side.
Oh, if I
And I was
might have
going-
been talking about that too, and I also do think I am that kind of bridge. Yeah, that's also something I would say.
I think you are sort of that bridge, but I also feel like you could do better at being a bridge. Like at the moment,
I agree.
yeah, mostly because I feel like there's kind of a missing rung in this ladder, and that rung's name is Pseudo Steph.
Okay.
And I feel like he made a really good bridge between like you and someone like Pause and Select.
Yeah.
But
He's not
but,
around
like,
anymore, unfortunately.
but I mean, I think
He's still alive,
you know,
though, right? He's...
Yes.
Okay.
Thankfully. And like, you know, there have been a lot of people who have said that like if you integrated a more academic slant to your writing, that you'd be a better writer. And I think that's partially true, but I also just think that it would help with this whole bridge concept.
It's interesting you say that, because I thought you were going to go the other way with this. I thought you were going to say that I'm not casual enough, or that I use too much academic language.
No.
But
I think people who are going to complain about that, they need a rung below you.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, maybe I should say plank instead of rung, since we're talking about bridges.
I'm inclined to agree with you that I could incorporate that more. The biggest problem is I haven't read enough, and the biggest reason I haven't read enough is that over the last 5 years I have been such a fucking workaholic that I have just not prioritized like expanding my knowledge as much as creating things. Like, so much of since starting as a YouTuber, like, most of my consumption has been like, okay, well, what can I make a video about, you know? And it's difficult for me to like just say, oh, I'm gonna sit down and read like a random book that I don't know I'm gonna necessarily have a video out of, you know? And this is a problem for sure, and it's something that Econ brings up to me a lot. Like, he's always telling me I need to read more. I don't know if you talk to him at all or know him. Do you know about Econ?
How could I not?
He's almost... I think he wants to be the rung above me on the ladder, actually. I think that's kind of the role that he's hoping to fulfill in the anime sphere on YouTube, is like a little more academic than Digibro, but not unapproachable. And he takes a lot of he's somebody who comes from more being on the positive select side of things, and he talks to Joe a lot, and they bond over a lot of academic stuff, but he's trying to go towards like taking influence from Giguk and the Anime Man and be like more accessible while embracing those things. So I would say that I hope he can fulfill that role at least until I am prepared to, because I do need to read more, and I need to learn more terminology and shit. And I also have May here, thankfully, who is capable of doing that reading and sharing some of the shit she reads with me, so...
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed her last video on, freak power.
Yeah.
And
thanks.
you're welcome.
I'm glad.
But you need to produce more content.
I'm working on a video right now about Ava.
Awesome. And there's never too much Ava analysis.
It's gonna be about the best girls. And
Yeah.
it will surprise you.
Well, yeah. But that's pretty understandable. That thing you mentioned about working, I totally know that feel. I started work on like a Faust-style light novel back in November, and I've only watched like 3 anime since I started that book.
The saddest part is that, like, I will often be like, yeah, I haven't been watching anime because I've been too busy anime YouTubing. I mean, it's a weird fucking world, you know?
Yeah.
And granted, I think a lot of this is part of it is that I don't work as smart as I do hard a lot of the time, because I just kind of... My mentality is like, if I have ideas, I have to make the ideas. And it's like, sometimes maybe I should take a step back and just not make the 8th vlog of the week and read a book instead. Because I don't know how often, like, that extra vlog is actually doing anything for my career. But,
Yeah.
you know, that's...
Well, before we get... sorry.
No, go ahead. That was pretty much all I had to say.
Alright, well, before we get too off topic, and before the chat becomes completely embroiled in bridge memes, speaking of anime, you have talked a lot about how anime has not gotten worse, and I would like to argue that it has gotten a bit worse.
Well, didn't I make also a video that said it did get worse, like, a couple months ago, though?
Well, true, but in that video, it was kind of approaching it from a different angle. You were saying that it was all the economic kind of thing. Whereas I think that even if like the economic problems were fixed, I feel like there would still be a slight decline, more because of the influence. Like, the most influential show right now is Sword Art Online.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think. Do you know that amazing Joshiraku screen cap
Yes.
meme? Yeah.
I love that screen cap.
So for the audience who might not know, there's this show called Joshiraku from the author of Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei that's about Rakugo, like a bunch of cute girls doing Rakugo and just basically dark humor and lingual jokes. But there's this scene where one of the characters is talking about how the anime industry is always being sort of poisoned by successful shows, and there's like silhouettes of Madoka and Sao and Ava, and I don't remember what the fourth one was, might have been Haruhi or something, but just that like the emergence
Probably
of something
Haruhi.
extremely popular will lead to, you know, an endless stream of imitators that ultimately is going to sidetrack everybody from fucking making new shit.
Yeah, I do think that's true. Although I also think that even if we're just gonna look at shows that are like kind of directly influenced, I feel like something like Evangelion gave us like a better selection
I would
of
agree.
shows like that than something like SAO.
I think that with Ava, it made people think, oh, we can make like weird experimental shit and put money in the hands of auteurs, and that will be the way to go because Ava was successful. But in the end, I mean, even with a trend like that, though, like, yeah, we did get some great results from that, but we also got a lot of like not only bad stuff but good stuff that didn't recoup its budget because people didn't really understand why Ava was a success. It wasn't because it was weird. It was because it was good, you know? And it was understandable to a broad audience in spite of how, you know, artsy and shit it was. But, yeah, I would agree that SAO's influence does not inspire almost anything good to come out of it. I mean, at best you get stuff like Konosuba, but that's not the same as getting Lane, you know? Yeah,
like that's pretty much my thoughts on, like, you know, old anime versus new anime.
I think that's an interesting point.
Yeah, I'm glad that you agree.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, those are my two arguments I'll go with today. But I'll first one. The other day, Subsonic Sparkle was telling you to play Sonic CD. He was right.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't really like the classic Sonic, right?
Yes, I cannot really stand any of the Sonic games that I've played.
Well, see, I think you'd maybe like Sonic CD the most out of any of them because it's kind of like the oddball of the classic games.
Right. That's.
Like,
I mean, I've watched some footage of it, and it definitely looks weird as hell. It's almost like open free roaming, isn't it? Like you can just kind of wander the levels.
The levels are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's like 3 versions of each of them that you travel between because of time travel and shit. So yeah, and then the last thing I'll say, I mentioned I was writing a Faust-style light novel.
Yeah.
I bet your audience is pretty into that. Follow me at Ray.
You cut off after the word Ray. Repeat yourself.
Okay. Okay, just follow me at Ray's Not Bay on Twitter. I update. I give updates on the progress of the book. I finished the rough draft, but I still am revising it.
Do you want to give us like a 1-sentence sell on your book?
Okay. Well, that's a little tough. A 1-sentence sell.
Yeah.
Ava, but instead of piloting robots, people turn into dragons.
Okay. That sounds like something that some people would enjoy.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, yeah.
Well, that was some good arguments. I'm sure we'll see you on a future episode.
Thank you very much. It was awesome to meet you.
Yeah, you too. A long-time commenter, I know. So that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
See you soon.
Who we got next?
Let's see.
Do we want to try to bring back any of the people who weren't ready at the start? Surely some of them are ready.
Oh.
Yo.
Who we got?
Hey. Finally.
Who is it?
Uncomfortably numb?
Uncomfortably Numb? Is that the name?
It is.
What's going on? What you want to argue about?
Alrighty. This is not necessarily the most serious of an argument, but
You've got like real bad white noise in your background. Do you have a fan on or something that you could turn off?
actually I don't. My mic's just really shitty for some reason. I'm so sorry.
Alright, well, I can understand you well enough. Hey, baby, can you use... You know the item that you have called Moon Atomizer? If you use that next to me, it will revive me.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, what's your, what you want to argue about?
Naruto is actually just secretly a yaoi.
Alright, well, you can make your case. I don't know if I agree or disagree yet, so I'll have to wait to hear your logic.
Yeah, so the first episode, right?
Uh-huh.
Within, I think, like 10 minutes of it, maybe a bit less, they already are kissing.
Is that in the first episode?
I think it's in the first
don't
Because
episode.
it happens in
have that
chapter
item.
2 in the manga.
Oh, then maybe it's not first episode. Within the first 3 episodes of the series,
You should
right?
be able to just press like the 9 key on your keyboard and it's sorry, I'm trying to get her to revive me in this
Oh,
game.
I
Well,
just
now
died.
she's dead.
I
Alright, well,
don't
return to
think I
camp
have
ship
cool,
then.
whatever.
Anyway, yeah, they
and
do
then, like,
kiss in like very early into the show. But it's
Yeah.
played, as I understand
It's
it.
played. I understand it's played off.
Yeah,
I feel
but
like that'd be
so
more subtle.
The way I understand Sasuke in the show is that he was not initially created to be that major of a character, though. Like, I don't think... If Naruto was at any point a yaoi, I don't think it was indicated from the beginning. I think maybe it became that way, but I haven't watched a lot of it, so...
Oh yeah.
Let's
And then I know they've kissed 3 times in the series too.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think one. Actually, I had it pulled up before actually on my tab, but cannot pull it up again because I'm in the middle of a League of Legends game. But
I'm not even
pretty
sure,
sure
if
it's
what
in
you're
another.
if what you're presenting here is a controversial opinion. Like,
no, it's definitely not.
okay.
And then pretty much the bulk of the plot is just chasing after Sasuke because obviously Naruto has a thing for Sasuke,
Yeah.
and it's really only about Naruto and Sasuke.
It is very much... I mean, but then again, like, most shonen are about, like, the central rivalry. Like,
Yeah.
usually the love interest characters are sort of in the background. But, I mean, then again, most shonen is popular with, you know, with the Fujo crowd for that exact reason. So, do you think that just at some point Naruto started pandering to that crowd, or do you think
I
that...
feel that's why I was saying it's kind of more like hidden. I think like
Okay.
secretly a yaoi more because it's like more subtle.
Uh-huh. But the fact that they kissed 3 times is probably because the first one was a popular moment.
Yeah, and then I also know I think it was the first episode too that like Naruto falls in Sasuke's house, and you know it says that's left up for interpretation.
Hmm.
You can hear some rumble in the background from there.
Well, I don't think I disagree with you, so, is
Yeah,
that,
you
is
can
that your
actually-
whole
it's a-
argument?
Pretty much, yeah.
Alright, well,
Yeah, you can next me.
well argued. Let's bring in the next
Yeah.
dude.
Alright.
Oh wait, actually,
Yeah?
Sorry, I kinda,
Well,
I
too
couldn't
late.
take the noise.
You should have said oh wait actually before you said we were okay to kick you.
Alright. Do you want to have Mr. Cynical on again? Or do you want to get somebody new?
We can have Mr. Cynical on again.
Alright.
That's gonna be great.
What's going on,
Hey,
Mr. Cynical?
Well, nothing. I just wanted to have like a rematch, sort of have another discussion with you because I feel that we kind of went all over the place. So maybe just a normal talk would be better.
Alright. What you want to argue
Ask
about?
you that. Well, there's a couple of things I wanted to mention. One of them, just off the cuff, I just wanted to know why you thought Star Wars was badly edited. You said that somewhere in Jess's Blues
so,
room.
As I understand it, the original Star Wars film, it's not even so much that it was badly edited, because it was so more that it was saved in editing, but that there was no way to make it edited well because they just didn't film enough. Like that most of the shots in the original film, like they would just kind of cut off right after the action and not really leave enough room to fuck around with editing. And supposedly the original cut of the film by George Lucas was just like an utter clusterfuck until his wife like salvaged it. But
No, just yeah, okay.
watching it myself,
that-
I felt like the first movie had certain like jarring and awkward moments that you would not see in the second or third one, you know, when
Okay,
more
no
powerful
problem.
directors were brought on board.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
Thing I wanted to talk about. Last time we talked about regarding, we both had our differences of what is analytical,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to bring up the fact that your views were that YouTubers should talk more about themselves and what they personally like. And you didn't really give any examples of anyone on YouTube other than yourself that does that.
Mhm.
Could you give any examples of what you want or someone that does what you want?
I'll give you an example of a sort of an odd case, but a video I was a really big fan of. Have you ever heard of a YouTuber named Tamashi Hiroka?
No, I haven't.
All right, well, she's a Pokemon YouTuber primarily, though she also does like some games analysis. But at one point, she just did a video of her top 10 favorite video games, and
You mentioned it in your top 10 YouTubers or something.
yeah, and it was just really fascinating because of the fact that her priorities when it came to games were very different from like most of the games critics I'd seen before, because she was coming at it from such a personal angle and being like, look, these are games that like resonate with me for reasons that just were very atypical, and like stuff like that is where I feel like I learn the most about other people, is like when I can see how they just fundamentally look for something different than me. And like when someone tells me like, oh, I like this show that maybe I think is bad, it's, my initial gut reaction is like, oh, well, you have bad taste. But like if they can explain it in a way that I'll understand and that like I get why they like it even if I don't feel the same way, that's where I really learn how to like, communicate with them better. So, that's what I like about it.
Yeah, but the thing with YouTubers is that they don't need to talk about themselves. It's more about explaining the art or what the art does well or doesn't do well.
But why?
And I argue that's the purpose of analysis, to I can't remember the word, to do a greater examination of the work itself, to find better details of what it does well or doesn't do well.
Right.
Because if we don't learn anything about the art, the only thing we're learning is about ourselves.
I mean,
And then what's the purpose of criticizing or examining art?
What is art if not a mirror to ourselves? Like, that is the purpose of it in my mind.
Especially YouTube.
At that point, you might as well just be reading a psychology book. What's the purpose of art at that point?
Because a
the
psychology book won't represent the individual nuances of an individual person. Like, if you were to just say, like, summarize, like, if I read a psychology book that was trying to tell me what's the deal with Hideaki Anno, it's just going to be like, here's a page on autism. But like, by watching his shows, I know his specific brand of autism and, how that can help inform the world. And I think that by talking about my personal experience with the show, I'm just adding essentially another layer to that. Like, first I'm explaining to you like what I think he's saying, and then also like how that affected me. So you're getting that, like, to me, if all I'm doing is telling you what the show is, then you could have just watched the goddamn show,
Yeah, well, that's not really what I was arguing about. I was not arguing the purpose of art. I was arguing about analytical and examining art itself so that we can gain a greater appreciation of art.
Yeah.
I don't disagree that art is a mirror to ourselves, but we should be able to, I don't know, using your analogy, clean the mirror better. That's a terrible analogy, but the point is still that gain a greater appreciation of art and learn even more about ourselves. Because say for example, you watch something and you don't quite get it, and then someone comes along and says, this is how what it actually means. This is what the art tries to do or what it didn't do, and then you actually do understand.
I don't think
That's
that
the
there
purpose of
are
analysis.
Well, okay, if that's the only purpose of analysis, then that would be to suggest that it's only worth making analytical videos about stuff that's not easy to understand. And I think there's plenty of art that is very easy to understand, and yet it can teach us something unexpected in how we interface with it, Like, there's plenty of shows that, like, that I've, like, a show like Maid Dragon, which is the one we ended up arguing about last time. I don't think that show by itself is difficult to understand what's good about it. Like, the reason I ended up talking about so much personal stuff is that, like, that's the angle that I could say something that you couldn't have figured out just by watching it, but I don't think that there was any necessity to, like, make an analytical breakdown of the plot or themes. Like those are
But
pretty
that's the point.
obvious.
At that point, but that's the point. At that point, you don't even need to make the video because you're just talking about yourself.
But that's
But,
something
like, for
that
example-
is something I can offer. Like, if I can't offer anything about, like, the quality of the show, at least I can offer something about myself. And, I mean, I make a shitload of
But that's-
videos. Like, if I only talked about shows that I could analyze the plot or explain something about the show itself that you don't know, I would just run out of shows really quick and have nothing to make videos about.
Well, that just limits the amount of analytical videos you'd be doing. That doesn't mean you can't do it. But the point that I'm making is mostly that if you're only talking about yourself, it has barely anything tangential about the show that you're talking about. And to give you an example, at one point you watched Non Biori, and you famously said it was bad or you didn't like it because it wasn't as good as K-On! Or something along those lines. And then the YouTuber Keiko Cat made the video about the background colors and how the background relates to the characters, and you said, "Oh, thank you, Keiko Cat. Now I see some value about the show that I haven't seen before."
Yeah.
And that's what I argue, because you hadn't seen something. Keiko Cat pointed you to that part about the background having some value. It elevated the show, and you found some value in the show. That's what I argue should be done with analysis on YouTube. It elevates the show greater.
That there's
gives us
plenty of
greater
analysis
understanding,
that,
and we like that.
that does that, but I
Okay,
also
the chat
think
is
you can
starting to
elevate a show.
next him.
All right, well, is this the same? Did you just want to have this argument again, or was there something else you wanted to argue about?
Let me check. No, that's just basically it. I just wanted to finish our conversation from last time.
Okay, well,
One more thing.
I think that I do analysis like that. I just don't think that it's the only thing I do, and that's because, again, I don't
I
have
still
enough
argue it's mostly what
ideas
you
to
do.
always do, like, just breaking down why a show
I mean,
is.
I still think that it's
good.
mostly the cast promote just mostly yourself and how you feel about certain shows.
I mean, if it seems like I mostly do that, it's because I just put out a lot of
You
content.
should focus more on examining values within a show more than just talking about yourself. And that's your biggest problem as a content creator. And well, you can say that's my opinion and everything, but I just think that, like, for example, you talk about how
Your
you
voice
saw
is like
the video
your
of
voice
Lena.
is breaking up to the point of barely being comprehensible right now.
Shit. Is this better?
Try
Shit.
again.
Is it better or?
It's starting to sound better. Try talking. I'm not hearing you at all now. I think we lost him.
All right.
Well, I mean, I didn't really have much else to add to that. I feel like we just rehashed the exact same disagreement we had
Yeah.
last time and came
Let's
to the
get
same
some
conclusion.
fights,
But
guys. If you
I
want
guess he got
fight,
his last
say
word
it in
in.
the chat. I'm gonna put Slim Bro in.
all right,
Oh my god, I'm
Hey.
in. I didn't think I'd get in. All right.
what's going
Yeah.
on, Slim Bro? What you want to argue about?
If you remember, I'm from the first Digibro. Everyone talked about horse girls.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, what do you
Yeah.
want to argue about this time? Hopefully
Don't worry, it's
not
not about
horse
that.
girls.
It's not about that. No. So I recently finished Yu Yu Hakusho,
Awesome.
and I want to argue why Yu Yu Hakusho. Do you think which do you think is better, Hunter x Hunter or Yu Yu Hakusho?
Hunter x Hunter, but only slightly, and mostly because I love the Chimera Ant arc so goddamn much.
All right, I'm gonna try arguing why Yu Yu Hakusho is better than Hunter x Hunter.
All right.
In many ways.
I'm curious.
So Hunter x Hunter, I agree. Hunter x Hunter has a more unique world and is a lot more options in that world than Yu Yu Hakusho. But I argue Yu Yu Hakusho has more climactic climaxes and has a lot better arcs overall.
Character arcs, I would agree it has better character arcs overall. Although it's not juggling nearly as much stuff as Hunter x Hunter is. I mean, like, fundamentally, I feel like Yu Yu Hakusho is a straightforward, like, it's a pretty straightforward story that hits all the beats incredibly well, and I think that its existence kind of allows Hunter x Hunter to exist. Like, we don't need Hunter x Hunter to be Yu Yu Hakusho again. It can be whatever it wants to be, and that's what allows it to explore such, like, fucking ludicrous concepts, like what is in the Chimera Ant, where, like, I just think that... Yeah. I think that Hunter x Hunter is able to display things with its formula that literally no other show could do. Whereas Yu Yu Hakusho, even though it does everything it does extremely well, is very easy to compare to Dragon Ball or something else, you know?
I agree. I think that has a lot to do with Togashi being inspired by
Yeah.
Dragon Ball at the start, and then he started developing his own type of style once Hunter x Hunter came around.
Mhm.
Another reason why I think Yu Yu Hakusho is better than Hunter x Hunter is because I think the artwork in the manga is superior in Yu Yu Hakusho.
Well, I mean, Hunter x Hunter's manga is not exactly known for its consistent artwork, so that's probably a fair argument.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
I mean,
I think
for what it's
villains-
worth, I have not read either manga. I've only watched the anime series for both.
Right.
So, if you, yeah, I mean, I've seen what the artwork for Hunter x Hunter can devolve into, so I know that that's a major complaint.
Okay, I think the Dark Tournament and the Chapter Black saga are better than most of the arcs in Hunter x Hunter.
I'm inclined. I think Dark Tournament is one of the best arcs in anime. So, but I love Chimera Ant even more though.
Like, if I were to rank the arcs, I think Chimera Ant arc would be number one, like including Yu Yu Hakusho. But then right after would be Dark Tournament and Chapter Black. Then all the other Hunter x Hunter.
I didn't really like the ending of Chapter Black that much though, or the very beginning of it for that matter. Like there was like the whole Yusuke coming back to life thing was a bit much.
Okay, yeah, that was definitely Togashi trying to find a way to not kill off Yusuke for the second time.
Yeah.
But
you want me to help you make your argument even better? Because I have one major way that the Yu Yu Hakusho anime is a lot better than Hunter x Hunter, at least the 2014 version, which is just that the animation looks so much better.
Oh yeah, I agree. I'm very fond of the 80s art style over the digital.
Well, 1992.
No, 90s. Yeah, right. Okay. Wait, didn't the manga start in like 89?
Yeah, it might have.
Yeah,
the anime started in 92.
Yeah. Yeah, the character designs, in my opinion, are much better, and I'm more attached to the characters in Yu Yu Hakusho over Hunter x Hunter.
I am too, but I've been
because
watching Yu Yu Hakusho
characters.
since 2001, so like, of course I'm more attached to the characters.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think the villains are more have more things to say in Yu Yu Hakusho than Hunter x Hunter.
That I think I agree with. I don't.
Because
I mean, outside the Chimera Ant arc, there's not a whole lot of like super interesting.
I mean,
Frollo's a cool villain, but he doesn't have a ton to say per se compared to like
Hisoka, Killua's brother. They're fine villains, but they don't have like a message. Like they don't have like
they're memes. They're kind of memes.
They don't have like a what's it called? Personal beliefs compared to like Sensui, who just thinks that humans are just as bad. Which I guess you could think Sensui's way of thinking is kind of the same as
Frollo.
as
the king.
Mirum. Yeah. Another reason why I think Yu Yu Hakusho is better is due to the fact that Yu Yu Hakusho, I think it wrapped up everything a lot better than the anime.
Yeah.
I know that Hunter x Hunter, like, you couldn't really find. I mean, it ended the best way it could.
Yeah.
Because
the Yu Yu Hakusho anime definitely has a way more satisfying ending, but that's because the manga was actually over.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, not to say that that's a defense for Hunter x Hunter or anything. Like, yeah, I agree that Yu Yu Hakusho has a better ending. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's really close. Like, I would give both shows, like,
They're both 10 out of 10s for me.
Yeah, they're both pretty high up on my favorites list. So it's I would say reasons like the ones you're describing are the best reasons to pick one or the other. It really just comes down to, like, what do you like more, Yusuke's character arc or Chimera Ant? And for me, Chimera Ant just edges it out a little because it's so unique that, like, I've never seen anything like it,
Chimera Ant arc was definitely one of the strangest fucking... I really didn't think I would like it. I heard everyone talking how, this narrator is an asshole. He just talks over and over. But I ended up liking that. It grew on me over time, similar to how the Chapter Black grew on me. Initially, I thought it was gonna I didn't think anything could beat Dark Tournament until I think Chapter Black is better than Dark Tournament.
Okay.
All right, I'm seeing a lot of next in the chat.
Yeah, all right. This is stop
All right,
being an
yeah,
argument.
yeah.
So we're gonna bring in the
Okay,
next guy.
All right, the defender is finally ready.
All right,
So,
let's bring him in.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I'm trying to figure out what the hell we're trying to do on this quest. Like, it says we're still doing the quest, but I don't know what the fuck we have to do.
Hey.
You there?
Am I here? Am I here?
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the
I
show.
have awoken.
Yes.
I have been reborn.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Dean the Defender was the one who came on episode 2 to talk about lolicon shit.
Yeah, and I shut him off, and it was wrong of me, and I'm sorry.
Apology accepted.
No hard feelings,
What?
man.
I learned a lot of things due to that, and now I'm coming back here. I'll admit that my argument was I approached it a completely wrong way, and it was just like super long-winded. And here I'm gonna just get straight to the facts, bro. Okay,
Hell
so
yeah.
let me get my statement out so people can understand what I'm talking about. So like the reason I'm here today, I just want to showcase that lolly porn isn't 100% innocent. I'm not trying to fight lolly porn to demonize it. I'm simply trying to make lolicons self-aware, because I see too many lolicons in the community that are full support of it, and like they have some really, their opinions are pretty out there. So I'm just trying to say my opinions, and hopefully you might see it my way in the end of this conversation.
All right.
So
All right.
yeah, first statement. I believe that there is a difference between child. Okay, I can say that, right?
You
Yeah,
can
that's
say
what I said.
whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Got
Except
it,
for the
got it.
N-word, because apparently that'll get you kicked off Twitch, so.
Gotcha. So, I believe there is a difference between child pornography and lolicon art, lolly porn.
Yeah.
And I want Digi to answer for me, or say his opinion. Why? What's the difference, and what makes lolly porn acceptable and child pornography not?
There is no victim.
There's no victim
with lolly porn. It's not real. It's fiction. It's all in the mind. It's first of all, even identifying it is completely subjective. I could draw you 2 stick figures fucking and tell you that they're 11, and I guess I just made lolly porn, but So
okay.
Yeah, I would just say harmlessness is what I would consider the difference.
So you're in support of lolly porn.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're in support of 3D generated, computer generated lolly porn as well, like realistic 3D?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. It's still
Yeah, you
as
better say
unreal as
so.
anything else.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now to get to my statement, now that you have confirmed this belief,
Yeah.
I believe that lolly porn can just be seen as another way to disguise child pornography. Okay.
Can be, but isn't necessarily.
No, because you see, as you said before, there's different ways to interpret lolly porn. Like
Right.
there is lolly hentai artists from a long time ago, or just today in this generation, that interpret it really differently. Like, let me get this quote for you so I can exactly show you, because this is a weird. When I was reading this, I did a lot of research over the past 3 days, and I was. What the fuck?
Are you
Why
gonna
won't this
give me
thing
the
work?
wait? Because there is a famous quote that used to get brought up a lot in lolly discussions, where this guy had said that he draws little girls getting raped to represent society
that's it.
raping him.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
the way that he feels that he's been raped by society. Yeah, that's a famous quote. But I love that one.
Yeah. When I was reading that, I was like, what the fuck am I reading? But I was like, hey, whatever. All right. So, yeah. So people can interpret it differently. But, I feel that, the majority, okay, at that point, if you're interpreting it this way, is it even porn for you, bro? It's this is some artistic shit. If you're talking about oh yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that point, that's the thing. What is porn? I mean, we can't even that is totally subjective.
I think porn is artistic, in all forms.
Yeah,
it is a form of expression.
I mean, to me, there's to me, the word art in the first place is so fucking nebulous and useless because, like, if it just means... there's no definition that you can give art that I can't apply to basically anything. Unless you give it such a limiting definition that nobody would agree with it, you know?
Can I ask your opinion on something?
Sure.
How do you feel about porn that explores age play, where you have girls pretending to be little girls, or like scenarios? Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm perfectly okay with that, but I don't like the DDLG community because of a lot of things. I could get into that if you want me to, but I feel that age play is just another fetish, and you know there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like the community is very prone or susceptible to being preyed upon, and I've just seen some disgusting things in that community, and
yeah, okay.
I just don't like.
I'm sympathetic to what your sort of plight is here. And I agree with if your statement is basically that lolicon is not all innocent, I do agree with that. Like, I don't blame the art, I blame the people. And I think that part of the reason that those kinds of people can, like, end up in, you know, in lolly circles and shit is that even regular ass lolicons like you and I have to hide because we're not accepted. And I think that if we were able to have more open dialogues about the stuff we're into, and we didn't have to participate in shady fucking, like, you know, like, cliques, not that I do, because I'm not really a part of any groups or anything like that, the way that that you've talked about, and I understand why you would have seen probably a lot scarier shit than I have, because you've been a part of certain groups, but, like, I would want us to weed out that stuff. Like, I want us to come out and be like, hey, we are lolicons and what we do is okay, but, like, we don't, what's the word I'm looking for? Endorse these people, you know? Like,
absolutely.
Like, yeah, they found their way into our communities, but, like, that's not because we want them here, you know?
And I mean, online, there are communities for people who are into that stuff, even on the surface web, but, you know, there's places that are hidden that you can find actual CP.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's tons. That's the thing, like, if our argument is like, let's patrol lolly porn better because it might, you know, there's like pedophiles who are into it or who are part of it. Like, there's also shitloads of actual child porn on the internet that needs to be policed. Like, that's
Sometimes
what we need to be worried
YouTube.
about, you know? I would say, like, I think the lolly art is more misunderstood than it is dangerous. Whereas, like, those people who are a part of that community who are dangerous, well, we need to worry about the things they're doing that are dangerous, not about the fact that they like lolly. That's the most innocent thing about those people, you know? But, like, if someone who's into lolly is also into real child porn, that's where the problem is. It's not with the lolly art, you know?
Okay, so we admit that, you know, like, there is like, basically, you know how, like, I don't know if you know about, like, the whole, like, in the furry community, there was, like, a furry versus brony thing. Furries didn't want to be associated with bronies. Bronies didn't want to associate with...
Believe me, I was in the brony community, so I've seen it all happen.
I associate that divide with, like, the whole lolicon versus, like, lolicon and pedophile, because I feel that, like, you could be a lolicon and a pedophile, or you could just be a lolicon. But I feel that since that, you know, like, it is, like, irrefutable that, like, lolicon porn or lolicon art is actually depicting underage girls, like, you know, you can't really, like, say that, you know, oh yeah, these people in these dojins or whatever aren't little girls, when they're literally saying, I'm not talking about, like, you know, just like a picture, I'm talking about the dojin, a story where the person is saying that they're a minor.
Yes.
And that, so it's undeniable that these represent actual children.
But they don't represent actual children. They represent the idea of children.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the idea, see, the way I see it, the reason this stuff exists is so that we can explore ideas that we can't in outside of art. You know, that a lot of people who just maybe can't understand even, like, okay, just to give a little background for myself, like, the reason that I got into lolly stuff, and for what it's worth, even though I am a huge lolly supporter, I don't even really look at that much lolly stuff anymore because it was more in my youth. And it was just that when I got into the anime community, it was at a time where I was very confused about my gender and my sexuality. I was afraid of masculinity in a way. I wouldn't look at any porn that had dick in it. I just wouldn't look at anything that had dicks. I only looked at lesbians and mostly lolis because I grew up looking like a little girl, and when I went through puberty, I had a sort of body dysmorphia over becoming a tall, fat guy with a beard, you know? So, like, for me, looking at loli porn was, like, this way to try to, like, recapture who I had been in the past. Like, someone who looked like that, and you know, and I also was, like, and I've always been self-obsessed, so, like, seeing characters who look like me fucking other characters who looked like what I used to look like, you know? For me, and also, like, in loli porn, you can depict things that aren't realistic in the slightest. Like, yeah, the characters are quote-unquote little girls, but do they act like little girls? Sometimes, if that's what the artist is trying to depict. And granted, there are some, you know, loli art who are going out of their way to depict the most realistic little girls with the most realistic reactions, but even in those cases, I don't think that the people who read it are necessarily reading it because it's something they would want to do in real life. They're reading it because they can explore thoughts that they have that they would not act upon, but this allows them to understand those thoughts and compartmentalize them. And, you know, like, I just think that, like, the reason we make art about dark shit, like, the reason we make art about war is not because we love war. I mean, some people do, and some people do make art about war for that reason, but, like, even if we watch stuff, like,
you're addressing a lot of topics that I actually want to touch on some things before you go on.
All right, go ahead.
I find it amazing that you're like the first fucking person to, like, prove my. Okay, I was reading this book. Like, during my research, I was reading this book called, I think it was called, Confessions of a Frigid Man. Have you ever read that book?
No, I never heard of it.
Basically, it's a philosopher's journey into the hidden layers of men's sexuality, and one chapter is dedicated to this talk of lolicon. He admits that he is the lolicon, and he talks about, like, you know, basically his mind, and he explains that. And he is exactly saying what you just said about the whole he wishes that he could go back to that age, like, you know, like that age where, like, you're transforming between he says that, like, before 12 years old, before puberty, basically boys and girls have, like, a unisex body, like, and that, like, at that you know, when what's the word? I forgot the word he used, but, like, gonadotrophones or whatever start coming in the body, that's when the change starts happening. And lolicons are attracted to that moment in time where the change starts happening. And he says that basically what you just said. So I found it amazing that, you proved that just now.
And I mean, also a lot of my interest in lolicon stuff has to do with, like, I'm really interested in developmental psychology in general, and, like, with loli art, it allows you to look at scenarios that, like, for instance, like, what would happen if a 12-year-old girl started fucking your dad? And it's like, I'm not gonna ever know how that goes in real life. So, but in art, I can be like, oh, okay, that's interesting to think about. Like, how will this affect people, you know? And you can even make it a fantasy where you're like, well, you know, there's reasons that it could end up well. And you can explore that in a manga, and you can't in real life, you know? And I think that it's interesting to explore those things, and it's a fantasy like any other fantasy, just in the same sense that, like, watching a guy kill a dragon doesn't make me think I'm ever gonna do that, but, like, it's interesting to think about, what if I did kill a dragon and I was a big damn hero, you know? So, to me, it's just, like, when people talk about, like, loli art, I just don't want people to act like it's special. You know, like, I think that all art has the potential to do as much good and bad as any other art. In the same way that you can't blame Doom for the fact that a school shooter said that playing Doom was one of their inspirations for shooting the school. Like, sure, for that guy, he interpreted it that way, but the problem wasn't Doom. The problem was that guy, you know? And, like, something needs to be done about people who have that mindset. And in our world and in our culture, we try our hardest to make everything very blanketed. We try to just make blanket statements and blanket judgments because it's easier, because there's so many fucking people, and this all has to do with industrialization of culture and everything, that we, in order to deal with the massive number of people in the world, we try to categorize as much as possible, and we try to you know, give everything genre and category so that we can understand it, because there's just too many people in the world for us to individually understand people. But like, the reality is that we all do things and react for our own individual reasons, and if someone reacts to art in a really fucked way that makes them do something really, you know, illegal or immoral, it's because the world didn't understand that person, didn't help them to deal with those.
Problems existed in that person's mind way before they were like exposed to the porn.
That too. That, like, the artwork is never like what causes it. It might just be sort of a trigger of something that this person was, you know, already dealing with. Like for instance, to use the school shooter example again, you know.
You're bringing so many points, bro.
I'm sorry. This is just the way my brain functions. Yeah, well, okay, do you have anything you want to respond to?
Yes, okay. All the way back from the beginning where you said, okay, about, like, you know, doujins or whatever, they explore this, you know, this basically theme that you would want to see, like, oh, what would happen to this? Yeah. That's why I love story arc, like doujins with the story arc tag, because it can fully, like, I feel like the longer the doujin, the more sense of, like, you know, how long how easier or better fleshed out the story is, and it could more in detail explain these themes. But I feel that lolly porn, I feel like you can't use that argument, you know, like fully, because lolly porn is biased towards, you know, being, in my opinion, I think it's biased towards, in the end, yeah, we're trying to jack off here, and I feel like they're not gonna make it try to be like bad ending type of stuff, you know, like realism. Oh yeah, he gets caught by the police. Whoa.
Oh yeah, well,
you know?
yeah, and a lot of it's escapist, and but again, we can recognize that, because if you think about the definition of what it like means to be mentally unstable, you know, if you were to read any diagnosis, like, the inability to separate fantasy from reality is insanity. You know, like, if you can't tell that the shit you're looking at is not real and that these scenarios can't happen in real life, it means you don't understand the world. You just fundamentally have misunderstood, like, you know, how things work. And so I think that if you're someone who reads lolly porn and this, like, somehow justifies for you or inspires you to commit these acts, there's something wrong with you. You know, like, it's not the lolly porn. You're broken, you know?
Ooh, they're broken, you say, right? They're broken. Okay, time to hit him with the bomb. Okay, so I find that realism in lolly art is very dangerous to the lolly community, because it basically skews between the line between fantasy and reality. I feel that that's not helpful towards the lolicon community, which has a checkered history, and we can go into the history later. But basically, I'm just gonna sum it up right now, that pedophilia has deep roots into the lolicon community, and I would say that the lolly community as a whole was founded or grew or was made because of Japan's censorship laws.
Yeah, and let me tell you right now, what this comes down to, I think at this point, is a difference in libertarian versus authoritarian policy. Because you're trying to say that because of the fact that the more realistic lolly porn will trigger more of these people, I think is what you're saying.
No, I'm not done yet. I didn't get down to the certain aspect of realism which makes it so like, I don't know what the word is, but yeah. So basically, have you heard of artists Russell and Higashi? Yeah.
Obviously.
You know what? I'm pretty sure you already know what I'm going to talk about. Then, if you know what I'm talking about, these people, then, right?
No, you can go ahead, because.
Okay, so would you say that these artists? Okay, I'm gonna get it right. Higashiyama.
I don't know that. I know Russell, and I'll just, to clarify for the audience, what I think is the relevant detail you're going for is that Russell's art is extremely realistic. He tries.
You know why? Do you know why? He traces actual child porn.
Really?
Whoa.
Yes. Higashiyama and Russell have been exposed for tracing child porn because they're based in Japan. Japan just recently, in 2014, that's when they finally banned the possession of child pornography. Child pornography was, they tried to ban it in 1999, but possession was still able to be owned. And with the adoption of the internet, basically anyone can just have child porn, because as long as they proved that they weren't distributing it, selling it, whatever, you know, they were good. And you could do that with the internet easily. So they had access to these perfect references for what they wanted to. So these prolific artists in the lolicon community were basically distributing traced child porn. So yeah, I want to see what you got to say about that.
Well, I have something to say. When I was
okay.
13, 14, 15, 16, I used my own body as a reference to draw porn. If I showed that to somebody, what do you think about that?
I mean, my girlfriend does that. My girlfriend does that too, and she used to do that. So yeah, but the thing about it is, in the end, that's, if like you would, like, there's been cases of people like basically doing that, not using it as references, but basically showing or having pictures of themselves when they were younger, and if law enforcement found out about that, it's technically child porn, they got in trouble. That makes no sense to me. And I think that, hey, as long as you're keeping it to yourself, you know, that's not a problem. It's you. But like, if
here,
you know,
okay, I think that the case with Russell here, if he's tracing child porn, he is committing a crime with like what he's doing by, you know, using the child porn. But like, I don't think that after the layers of abstraction of it being traced, that it remains child pornography. Like, if I look at a Russell Dojin, I am not like looking at the thing he traced. I'm looking at the tracing. I just don't, like, I can't see how that would put the person who's reading the Dojin like in the position of, oh, you're looking at child porn. Like, that guy was looking at child porn. He copied it. It's an abstraction to some extent, to an extent that people didn't know that, you know, to an extent. Now, if you find that out and you keep looking at it, you might feel really disgusted. I probably won't be able to read any Russell stuff anymore knowing that, because it's believable and it would be disturbing to know. But like, you know, I again, like, the crime was in the fact that he copied the shit. Like, I would encourage people to not support him, you know. I would say it would be immoral to support his art because of the fact that he does it that way.
I agree.
So,
okay, but you see, before this, everyone's all like, okay, basically before the realization that, hey, this is actually traced child porn and that it has a victim in it, it was like, this guy is the god of this art. Not god, but he's like really fucking good. So if you're gonna say this art is really fucking good and then realize, oh wait, that's because it has, you know, illegal backgrounds, it's like, aren't you trying to like basically say that the closer you can get to this IRL thing, the better it is?
Okay,
and isn't that admittance
I don't think that Russell being considered the god of lolly porn is because everyone prefers that style. I think it's because his art just looked really good. Now, if that's because it was traced, that's the same thing as like finding out that the Mona Lisa was traced. Like, it just means that the art is no longer impressive. You know, like, what made it impressive was that you thought, wow, this guy can draw like incredibly, you know, detailed, realistic characters, and that's an impressive skill for anybody to have, regardless of what they're drawing. So to find out that it's not real, he just isn't the god anymore, you know? Like, I don't think people necessarily worshipped him because they wanted their lollies to be as realistic as possible, so much as that his artwork looks impressive. And it's not even just the realism, his color work is really incredible too. So like, you know, there's more factors to it than merely, you know, the passability as real little girls or whatever.
His art style and his art skills are really good, but that compounded with the references that he was able to get made him able to produce to the lolicon community, you know, way better works. But point is that basically, there's more things I want to go on from here, but I just want to cement this in first before I go. You're basically admitting that, hey, Russell traced child porn. Russell made lolicon. Lolly. Can I say lolicon in reference to the porn? Can I just? Cause I normally do that, like lolicon. Okay. Russell made lolicon, and so we're admitting that the lolicon media or lolicon art, you can find like different types of lolicon art that has victims in it from it. That's it.
Yeah,
yes.
I would say that's
but
true.
The same is true for real porn.
I would say that
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah, I would say that in this case, it turns out there is a victim. However, I don't think that the victim is victimized by the people who have read Russell's doujins. I think they have been victimized by him and by whoever created the child pornography that he was drawing based off of. But I think that if you are so divorced at this point, like you know, so I guess you could say that if you bought a Russell doujin, you put money in the hands of a guy who is using child porn. That's unfortunate. Nobody knew that, and you know, people get duped by fucking bad guys all the time, and that's sad. And you know, I'm glad I never purchased anything the guy made. But
fuck you, Russell.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a fucking disappointing news that is.
Yeah, really.
If you want sources, I could give you. If you want, I can PM and do the shit.
Yeah, go ahead.
interested.
I'm curious to read about that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story.
But basically, I just want to tell you before you go on, before you.
Pen
look
reader
into
was
it,
always better, anyways.
We might find. I don't know. I'll be interested if you find something about Pen reader, but.
No, his stuff's not realistic at all, so you probably won't find shit about him.
Yeah. But before you go into it and look into it, there is they can't really prove it to you because it's child porn. So like they just basically like you know like
I don't need it to be proven. I believe it. You know, I don't need the evidence.
Got it. All
Especially,
right.
has he been convicted or anything? Like, has he gotten in trouble for this?
There's no he hasn't gotten in trouble. Well, actually, I haven't kept up to date with the articles because it's like a
It's an
old
ongoing
ass
investigation
8chan thread.
Okay.
It's an old 8chan thread. It's still being updated, and I didn't really check out the new stuff on it because I just wanted to get I just want to confirm this before I go on in my argument. But I doubt he would do it because let's talk about that. Well, no, let's just address it. I'm just gonna lightly talk about it. I don't want that to be my main argument right now. But even if he did get busted, bro. He would just go to jail for a maximum of 1 year in Japan. Japan is super lenient towards possession of child pornography, bro.
That's fucking.
So it doesn't.
I mean,
yeah.
I can't say I agree with their leniency. I mean, it is what their legal system is. We don't have to agree with it as we wouldn't even have to agree with it if we were Japanese. But you know, it would be worth campaigning against, I suppose, if you disagreed strongly. Yeah, like I said, I don't. Obviously, I think it's not okay to support the guy's work if that's how he's creating it, but I also don't. I don't put blame on the shoulders of people who unknowingly were reading the work. Like I said, you know, had I ever known that he was copying child porn, I never would have looked at his stuff. You know.
You know what I relate this to, like on a different level. Basically, okay. Before I even get into that, I want to address the topic that May said last stream that really pissed me off. Where she said she assumed the porn I look at. Like I was like,
Sorry,
what?
bro.
I was like, I'm a fucking hardcore.
I was triggered,
lolicon,
dude.
literally.
Sometimes that stuff really, if I don't prepare myself to talk about that because I am the victim of rape and pedophilia and some fucked up thing has happened to me when I was little. If I'm not prepared, I will, be emotional, and I apologize.
Hashtag triggered.
Yeah, I was triggered. I'm sorry.
Because I was like, wait, all the porn I look at is lolly porn. But, to get to that topic, I relate this to basically how, if you're a common amongst the 4chan communities, you will know basically how much underage porn gets up into the teen porn area, and people don't know. Basically, in this Russell instance, so basically you can be watching child porn and you just don't know. Because,
I mean, this is a huge problem on the internet at large. It's just that there's fuckloads of underage girls on show, not even just ones who are being exploited by ones who are exploiting themselves. You know, there's just tons and tons of people and. Granted, I all of this is why I think that the conversation needs to be more open about this stuff, because I think the reason these things are allowed to happen is that people want to pretend this shit doesn't exist. You know, like, because people don't want to address lolicon, they want to sweep it under the rug and be like, oh, well, those people are just disgusting. And it's like, well, if you think that way, then you're gonna make it so we can't have nuanced discussions, you know? And it just means that the lolicons who are afraid to say anything, who are afraid to speak up about where they draw the line, are now being grouped in with these other people. And how do we escape that, you know, without raising our voice and saying, like, hey, there's other reasons to be into this shit? So, like, if I'm being too defensive of lolicon, if that's ultimately what you think, like, what your argument with me is.
And the artist, I feel like the reason why they were triggering me to do this is because I feel like you're so defensive of lolicon, and you're very, like, artist protective, and I feel that, like, that's the reason why I wanted to do this.
Yeah, I do think that if the artists are committing a crime, like in that case, then yeah, they deserve to be held accountable for it. And I tend to lean on the side of artists and freaks in general, just because I feel like we need to elevate those people in general before we can really identify the actual problems. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean elevate those people? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so let's say that there's let's say we've got 5 lolicons, right? And one of them's a pedophile. From the outside perspective, they're all the same. And unless we can clarify that they're not all the same, then there's no way for us to identify the odd man out. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're saying basically that pedophiles can hide in the lolicon community, and you can't really identify pedophiles because they're hiding as lolicons? Like, I didn't really...
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that pedophiles are... Part of why they're able to hide among the lolicon community is that the lolicon community is so hidden in itself.
You're proving a next point of mine.
All right, what's your next point?
My next point is that... Okay, so we're going to talk about some history of Japan. I'm gonna sum up the thing. I'm not gonna be long-winded about this, but basically, pedophiles have we're like the pedophile community. Japan was like a hub of the pedophile community, bro.
Right.
And like the pedophilia community had a chance to grow and develop in Japan more than other places because it was allowed for so long. And compared to America, we're like, nah, fuck that shit. You're gonna go to jail for 10 years if you do this shit. Everyone's like, like underground with this shit. But Japan had ways to develop it. So we had, I feel that like now in Japan, there's so many ways that Japan could cater to the pedophile community, and that has been created because of this, I don't know, like negligence to the law, like don't like really care. But one is lolly porn. 2 is what you call that shit? Junior idols. Under 15 junior idol. That's a big thing in Japan. I mean, we could talk about that later.
That shit skews me out too.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked.
Idol stuff in general makes me feel really weird. Like, Japanese idol shit is super fucking bizarre to me, but I don't have any real empirical reasons for that. It just feels weird. Probably because most of what I know about idols comes from Perfect Blue, and it is permanently... That is all I will ever think about idol culture, is Perfect Blue.
What's Perfect Blue?
The movie, Perfect Blue, by Satoshi Kon.
I'll look that up then.
How the fuck? It's like one of the most famous anime films of all time.
Sorry, I should tell you that before we go into further. The reason I'm not an anime buff like you guys. I watch you because you're controversial, and I like understanding the mindset of controversial people. Like, I would love to have an interview with Keemstar or something. Like I argue viewpoints and stuff like that, and morality. I like to understand why people think the way they do, and if there's any way I can get them to think the way I do. Like, I'm not gonna argue anime because I don't really know a lot about anime. I watch anime, but I'm a manga person, to be honest. But yeah. So yeah, that's why I don't know Perfect Blue. But continue on my thing about this Japan thing and JK dating. That was the final thing I was gonna talk about. JK dating, you might think that you mean
JK is Joshi Kosei, right? High school.
Yeah.
High school.
And JK, the problem with JK dating is that it's become normalized. I've seen so many interviews where people talk about this. They're like, it's kind of fucked up when they go and ask them for sex. But hey, you're just like talking to a girl, you just want to like relax and like basically in an interview, wives of grown men were okay with their husband talking to this high schooler as long as hey, it's not sex, right? They just want to talk, they just want to relax at the end of the day,
Those wives are fooling themselves.
Yeah.
That's all I have
The
to say
fact-
about that.
So all of that together just shows how, like, basically you can clearly see how the pedophile community has their roots in this thing.
Right.
And I feel that with the like after 1999, where Japan was like, I mean, okay, I can't really say after that because Lolicon was actually made in the late 1970s, but I feel that that was just another way to show like stuff that they love, because, and the way to prove that, like, this is like from its inception that there was like pedophilia roots, is because in the beginning, when you go to shops to get like lolly mags or whatever, they would have actual child porn in the fucking mags. And if you want sources for this, I can give you sources. So
I mean, I'm not saying there's no connection between these things, but like time has changed, like, and even back then there were a lot of people who were doing lolly art that were not like, we're not doing it for those kinds of reasons.
True.
Like, because I've looked into a lot of like, the really old like lolicon manga and anime, and a lot of them were just like really like postmodern artists who were trying to make a statement or something, guys like Hideo Azuma, who granted like is a deeply like mentally disturbed person, but not because he's a pedophile, but he was one of the forefathers of lolly art, more as like a punk movement kind of thing, more as like a fuck the man, I do whatever I want and draw what I want, and most of his stuff was very like cheeky and sardonic, and like, you didn't get the sense that.
Well, you're talking about the father of Lolicon, right?
I probably.
Okay, yeah, all right.
I don't know if that's his. I don't know if he's the right guy, but he's one of them. But like, there's people. I think there's always been people who have been interested for other reasons, and like I said, the fact that the pedophiles are capable of like hiding within that is, I think, because it's something that society won't address. It's something that society wants to sweep entirely under the rug instead of parsing. And
Lolicon or pedophilia, or like in terms of sweeping under the rug.
Lolicon. They want to sweep. They just want to block it out of mind because it's uncomfortable. Nobody wants to think hard about what it can mean or what like. And I think that if we were in a place where lolicon, people who are lolicons didn't have to like hide if they weren't doing anything wrong, then we would be able to better identify the people who are doing something wrong. And that's the main thrust of why I am so adamant about like being open about it. And I mean, I'm willing to admit that I probably defend a lot of things in broad concept that in individual cases can be harmful or even could be, could have a lot of negative repercussions. Like, I'm not saying that lolicon doesn't cause any problems, but if nobody's willing to talk about the good things it can do or the ways that it can just be interpreted differently, then we'll never make any progress on discerning the difference between pedophiles and lolicons.
You might have just ended this argument right here. I'm just going to ask you straight up, since you just said it. What problems do you think lolicon can cause?
Well, obviously this whole Russell issue. Like, I mean, that's a situation where, this guy kind of got away with committing a crime because he was embedded in an industry that is only talked about by people who are in the know. Like, if you're not a lolicon, you probably don't know who Russell is, and like, it's unfortunate that I think because this community is so underground that an artist like that can thrive in it, without ever being dug up by authorities or other people from the sidelines who could have looked in and said, hey guys, that guy's a pedophile, but instead they'd probably look at any of us and say the same.
But I feel that like you're kind of taking it as like, I feel like, okay, I didn't research this enough or like have my thoughts formulated enough, but like I feel like you're trying to like use the, like the N-word, how black people try to take the N-word. I feel that you're trying to basically be like, yeah, us anime fans, we're trying to take
ownership.
I am trying to take back Lolicon. I mean, I'm trying to take back everything. That's how I feel about most things.
Yeah, I feel that you're trying to take it back and be like, hey, it's not this, but I feel that from the beginning that it was like pedophiles like, nah, man, this is our shit first, and we fucking grew this shit like for us, bro.
Hey, every son has to grow up to kill his father, you know? We gotta end the old ideals. We gotta bring in the new regime. The lolicons will reign and the pedophiles will fall out, you know?
So let's talk about, pedophilia, because I think the next thing we're gonna get is pedophilia, because I feel like you were saying something, but you never really cemented your ideas on it. Okay, one, what is your opinion of pedophilia? Do you think it's like a mental illness? Do you think it's just the way someone's attraction is, just normal attraction, like being?
I don't know.
Gay,
I'm not researched enough in it to say that for sure.
I think it depends on the case. It's different for each person.
Oh, did she beat the boss while I was dead?
Please explain, because the way I view it is, I view it just as like homosexuality. That's like
well, there are some people who like girls, like young girls, because they know they can manipulate them, because they want to hurt them, and that is wrong, and you shouldn't want to hurt anybody, you know? But there's some people who are attracted to girls and would never hurt a person, and they feel a lot of guilt, and I don't think those people are bad.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, people should be judged on their actions, not their thoughts in general, you know? Like, if you're someone who's attracted to young girls and you never do anything to any of them or act on those urges, then, like, you're not a criminal. I don't know if it's a mental disorder or not, but you probably should have some counseling to deal with it.
Okay, you know, okay, that's May's thoughts. So let's do that. So let's bring May in here. So why do you think it's a mental illness?
Well, I mean,
like homosexuality
why do you
being
think depression is a mental illness? It's the way it's the chemicals in your brain, you know? It's the way you are.
Well, first of all, let's clarify.
I said as opposed to homosexuality.
As opposed to homosexuality?
Interesting. Maybe not as opposed. Maybe I'm using the wrong word, but I'm basically saying, hey, why don't we view homosexuality as a mental illness?
I mean, it was in the DSMI for
exactly
years.
We did before. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think the reason. All right, well, in that case, using that logic, I will say pedophilia, as in being attracted to children, is not necessarily a mental illness because it doesn't necessarily cause harm to society. It's acting on it that causes harm, and at that point, it's a crime. I do think that it would probably be... I feel like the world would be a better place if people who have those urges were able to seek like counsel with, like, you know, like not to be treated as though it's an illness that needs to be cured, but they should have someone they can fucking talk to sort out their feelings.
Amen.
You know?
Amen. Yeah. Yes, that's completely what I agree with, and I feel that like I treat it the same way as homosexuality, and I feel that the only problem. Okay. Let me just say, do you have a problem with pedophilia? Not the acting on it. You say basically. I feel like you just said it, but. You don't have a problem with pedophilia, but you have the problem with acting on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with anything anyone thinks. You know, like,
Got it.
I think about murdering people every fucking day, like Kanye West, or as not, I'm not murdering Kanye West, but in the same way that Kanye thinks about killing you today, premeditated murder. I think about killing people all the time, but I don't act on it. So and we all consider criminal acts. You know, like, we all consider stealing, we all consider doing, like, running red lights and stuff, but, like, when you do it, that's when you're a criminal, you know?
Okay, and two things that from going on what you guys said previously. One, to May, I feel that the whole thing about, these people taking advantage and, like, controlling little kids, is, I think that makes the person more... like have a rapist mindset than a pedophile mindset, because a lot of rapists share that they like taking control of the weak and corrupting, and I see that amongst a lot of community. I can clearly see that when people, you can see when they're talking their interests and, like, their fantasies and delusions, they like that, they like the corruption of the innocent. So I think that plays into it. And to what Digi said, I just find it so funny that you're saying this now, because one thing that triggered me again I think the first episode, but it wasn't it was the first episode, yeah, where you said, where is it? You believe that you could just temper your mind to not think about kids. I was like, what?
That sounds like gay conversion.
Yeah, exactly. And that's in my notes. I was like, I relate that to people just used to saying people like pray the gay away. That's I was like, wait a second.
All right, what I meant by that was not for like legitimate pedophiles to do that, but for people who are afraid they might be pedophiles. Because like I hear from a lot of lolicon this concern that they're like, because of the fact that, you know, most of society insists that if you like lolicon, you must be a pedophile. A lot of them have like a lot of self-doubt or are uncomfortable around like real children because they feel like, oh god, I look at lolly porn, I can't be around like real little girls and stuff because what if it activates something? And I'm like, if you need to just know who you are and know that you're not like that, you know?
No, well, you gotta know who you are and know if you are that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna basically like shoot myself in the head and say that yeah, I've experienced the same fucking thing, and
when I was younger, I definitely was like afraid of how into lolicon I was because other people were afraid of it, because there was kind of like that was kind of the tenor of the lolly community back in the day, was like people going, uh-oh, are we pedophiles because we like this stuff? And then eventually I came to the conclusion, no, because I'm not attracted to real little girls, you know, so...
Exactly.
You know?
There's one side that is there's one side that is like attracted, like that realizes that can fully analyze themselves and say, yeah, I'm attracted to the IRL thing. And some that say, I'm not. And you see, I feel that like it's just like, and when we talked about the guy brought up in the first episode about trap porn, and basically, yeah, if you watch trap porn, you could maybe that might be a more comfortable filter, as he said, to realize to who you are and maybe come out as either being bisexual or gay. And I feel the same way with lolly porn, as you can just use this to understand yourself. You can like, it doesn't have to mean that you are a pedophile. You can just use that to like, you know, approach this topic, this controversial topic in a more softer light, so you don't like, you know, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
I agree with that.
All right. Progress. Okay, so yeah, I feel that people, the reason why they're like a lot, I feel like why a lot of I see a lot of denial in the lolicon community, and I feel like that's the only this denial, like, oh yeah, the hard no, I'm never that, nah, fuck that, you know, is because I'm referring to like liking children, is because of like how pedophilia is so demonized, and that there's no open discussion about it. You can't openly talk about it like this guy did in this book I was reading, you know? You're gonna be labeled as a demon for doing that. So everyone wants to stay away from this, but like lolicon is getting more and more like, basically in terms of tier of degeneracy and like not being allowed, lolicon is like, I guess, lower or higher, I guess it's in terms of like being accepted. Like lolicon is more accepted, or
I think it's gotten more normalized by the existence of 4chan and the growing popularity of anime. Just kind of, it's kind of like, if you're someone who watches enough anime, eventually you've seen enough half-naked little girls that you can probably realize that it doesn't make you a pedophile to look at it, you know? Like, if you watch Eromanga Sensei, you're basically watching lolly porn that hundreds of thousands of people watched and enjoyed, you know? So...
Oh, you're going too fast here, bro. You're going into my next topic. I'm trying to stay on this topic, all right? Okay, we're gonna... Stop. We're gonna address that later. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Okay, so, one, before we go on, because this guy's... I feel like he's just making my arguments for me. But basically, to get into that whole gay pedophilia relation, I feel that before a lot of people... Oh, by the way, how was the Twitch chat doing? Am I getting a lot of nexts?
I see some next. I also see some keep. There's a lot of people saying keep. So I'm still interested.
Closed-minded ass lolicon, stop getting fucking triggered, because I'm just trying to awaken some people, all right, bitch? Okay, I'm a lolicon myself. Okay, so basically, I feel that before a lot of people, they didn't basically work. They weren't. Okay. You see a lot of people now, they're like, yeah, we're gay, I'm gay. You know how the whole meme about, oh yeah, go to college, discover yourself, become gay. I felt like that only happened because people are now being exposed to it more,
Yeah.
and it's become more like what you call it?
I think you can draw a straight line from Queer Eye to the straight guy to the legalization of gay marriage. I think there's a line you can draw there.
Shit,
it goes through Glee. Glee is also in that line, and a few Pride parades are somewhere in there.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't research that, so I didn't want to say that. But hey, if you could say that, then great.
I think so. That's just my theory. I haven't researched it either.
Got it.
I just know that right around the time Queer Eye was on TV, suddenly people seemed to realize that being gay was not weird.
Being gay is okay. So so you see, now that people have been exposed to it more, and now it's more comfortable for them to say it now, I feel that being exposed to it helps them like finally be like, basically, you know, a lot of people, they don't really know if they're a lolicon if they haven't been exposed to, like, you know, basically like some sort of stimulus. And like, I guess, you know, for homosexuality it's a little bit different. Like this you could argue that, like, you know, once you reach like puberty or whatever, you can see like, or you can say that you're gay from birth because you always had that attraction and you just know. But some people don't know. Some people just don't know, and they need that stimulus to finally realize it. And I feel that Lolicon is the same way, but I feel that basically in TLDR, I feel that, you know, it's okay to basically admit that Lolicon is technically awakening or creating pedophiles.
You could say that probably. I don't I mean, if anything though, it's awakening them in a healthier way than other ways it might be awakened, you know.
And that's my next argument, because you see, you can say that to a lot of people. A lot of people that get into Lolicons, they realize they're pedophiles and they're non-violent pedophiles. Yeah. But you can technically say that some people do eventually become violent or violent pedophiles and do create crime. So it's like you have to what I'm trying to say, do basically this whole thing. I'm just trying to make people understand the good and the bad of Lolicon. There is good to Lolicon. I just showed you the good because you make people understand themselves, be okay with themselves, right? And, you know, and like, become non-violent, whatever. But and Lolicon is a great way to use this media, consume this media, instead of like, you know, going out and like being violent and committing crimes and shit. Yeah. But so you can say that, hey, Lolicon can create sex offenders, but on a very, like, the ratio is very, you can't just use that argument and just be like,
and be like, ban Lolicon, because and I would say that I think this really applies to pretty much all art. I think that art exists to, as I said to Mr. Cynical earlier, like, hold up a mirror to ourselves, to make us examine ourselves in the world around us, and not always in ways that are easy even for us to understand and parse. And granted, I do think that media literacy would also help a lot of people to understand Lolicon stuff better. Like, maybe more Lolicons need to think more about what it means, you know, to them. Like, because I'm sure there's lots of people who just don't fucking think about it at all and are just into whatever, and think it's all a fucking meme. But in general, I think that I could accuse almost any style or genre of art of having caused some harm in some way, but I don't think it's ever a good idea to throw out the art. You know, it's never a good idea to throw the baby out with the bathwater on anything like that. And because I am a super, like, libertarian idealist, I frown upon any time somebody tells me that they are gonna take my art away for any reason. But you know, that doesn't mean I'm gonna deny that it can potentially trigger somebody to, you know, unleash their latent psychopath.
Gotcha. So, all right. So I think we confirmed a lot of things, but I'm gonna touch on the topic I brought about anime. Then before I go there, I'm just gonna like do this first. I just wanna like confirm this now. So, do you agree that Lolicon sexualizes children?
No, I think it sexualizes a concept of a
Exactly.
child.
Sorry. Yeah, not actual. Yeah. Okay, got it. But it can with the case of Russell. But
I
like,
mean, again, I don't think he was necessarily sexualizing children. He was taking a sexualized child and abstracting it. You know.
Exactly. Okay. You're right. So it's sexualizing the what was the word you used?
The idea of a child.
Okay, I'm starting to see a lot more next is.
All right, you got to get to the argument.
The conversation's over. The conversation's over. Just one more. It's basically over.
All right.
Okay. So basically, you said that with the influx of how anime got more popular, that affected that made lolicon more accepted, right? And basically, TLDR, anime created lolicons, right? Anime created lollies. No, you know, and yes, and anime created hentai have lollies, lolicon, lolly porn.
Right.
So yeah, you can say that lolicons or lolly porn is a byproduct of anime, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
All right, we did everything. Woo! Closing statement that I wrote here that I want to get done.
All right.
Okay. Finally, I think that lolicons that go on to watch CP are simply the ones that realizes they are pedophiles and don't share the same morals as society. Everyone has different morals, and not everyone chooses to stick to the community moral code. That is simply why some people are criminals and some aren't. Great.
Yep. Woo. Yeah. Well, thank you. That was really good. I'm glad you thoroughly redeemed yourself for your performance last time.
You were great.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Complete 180. I'm happy that you're the man we had this conversation with, honestly. Thank you for preparing all this research. I know I said it would, but all I meant was I was going to take a chill pill.
All right, because I was when I was doing the argument, I didn't really understand how bad I was at the argument because I didn't really have everything all formulated. And after taking some time to look at it, I realized that I was in the wrong too with this argument. I should have planned it a lot better.
It was a good learning experience for both of us.
It was. See, this is what argument should be like, guys.
That's what the show exists for, so we can all grow and learn and be kumbaya around a fucking fire, and everyone can stop talking shit about me on the internet. All right, next.
Let's bring the next. Be your Patreon next month, bro.
Oh, sick! Awesome.
All right.
Everybody in the chat is asking for Rizzy. I want to hear from Rizzy.
All right, we're bringing in Rizzy. All right. Do we got her?
Give me 1 second, man. There's a lot of people in the chat. Why the fuck you rustling? Hey.
You there? Hello?
Hey. All right.
What's going on? Do we have her?
Well, I guess not.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to the next one. Rizzy, we'll see you later if you manage to get back.
I'm making sure she has exclamation points. That's what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes if you put exclamation points in your name, for whatever reason, you will disappear for me for 5 seconds. But you're in here now.
Rizzy, you there? I am not hearing her.
Are you there?
I don't think she's there. Maybe her mic's messed up.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, message me if you come back.
Alrighty.
Let's put Washer on.
Do we got him?
Yeah.
Hey, Digi.
What's up, Washer? What you want to argue about?
All right, I want to argue about rock and hip hop and who's the greatest of all time.
All right.
Digi, who do you think is the greatest rapper of all time?
Oh God, you fucking.
Okay, name a few artists. Name a few artists then.
I don't feel I'm educated enough in hip hop to make any kind of confident statement about that. I mean, I have no fucking idea. Who do you want to argue for?
Well, I mean, I just want to know what you want to say first. So name a few of your favorite hip hop artists. Like Danny Brown, is that one of your faves?
I mean, Kendrick Lamar, I think, is a very strong case for being the best modern rapper. So we can go with him. All right. I'm also a big fan of Denzel Curry. I wouldn't call him the greatest rapper because he's 23 and has probably 5 more great albums in him at least. But
who do you think? Okay, who do you think critics would say the greatest rappers of all time would be?
Well, it depends on the critic, but Tupac obviously gets mentioned every fucking time this comes up. Scarface is the favorite of Rude Jude. I mean, there's a lot because Hip Hop DX literally has a show where they just break down who like potential greatest of all time rappers.
I'll get to my point though.
Yeah.
So, do you think Scarface or Tupac sold the most records of all time?
Probably not. I think Eminem probably sold the most, right?
All right, let's move on to rock. Who are your favorite rock artists of all time?
My favorite rock artists. Do you want my favorite or who I think is the greatest?
Both.
Okay. Oh boy. You know what? My favorite rock artist of all time. Oh yeah, my favorite. No, you know what? My favorite hip hop artist is Death Grips. First of all, let me go back to that. And also my favorite rock artist is also Death Grips. There you go.
All right. So who do you think the critics would say, like the average critic would say, the greatest rock band of all time would be?
The Beatles.
All right. So, do you think the Beatles were? Do you really think the Beatles were the greatest rock band of all time?
I don't think so.
I mean, do you think critics are like ignorant of the industry?
I think that
this is happening.
I think that what the problem is with I think the reason the Beatles gets considered the greatest of all time has a lot to do with just I think that they embodied the moment that like that people started talking about that. You know what I mean? That like they were kind of the first greatest band of all time, and as a result they have remained the greatest band of all time in a lot of people's minds.
I think it's because they sold a lot of records, honestly. I think that's the only reason.
Well, that's also very true. But I think that a lot of those records over time have been sold as a result of this reputation too, you know.
Let me summarize my point.
Yeah,
the fact that so many books still name the Beatles as the greatest or more significant or most influential rock band ever only tells you how far rock music still is from becoming a serious art. Jazz critics have long recognized that the greatest...
Isn't it? Isn't this not a copy pasta? You've gotten quiet. Did he run when I told him it was a copy pasta?
Let's see if he's still here.
I can't.
I think he left.
Alright, well, I guess we'll bring in the next guy then. I guess I could have potentially argued against the copy pasta, but I've heard... I go on Mew. I know the memes.
Oh, hey.
Who do we have?
Rizzy.
Rizzy, you there? Maybe her mic just doesn't work. Do you have yourself muted? I don't think we're getting her.
Alright.
Maybe next time. I am dead. Where are you at anyway? Are you just like...
I saw you die. Meme Manifest. Have you had him?
No, I've never heard of Meme Manifest.
Alright. YOLO.
Hello? Did you add him?
Yeah.
Meme Manifest, you there?
Hey.
Hey, what's going on? What you want to argue about?
Okay, first of all, I want to say something about something that somebody said earlier. They mentioned, Mr. Potato Head for Neverworld.
Uh-huh.
I was trashing on his intro.
Mr. Potato Head.
I was trashing on his intro in the, in your Discord the other day, and I just found out that was him doing the music in it. It's awful.
Oh, that's great.
Anyways, my point, Hiromasa Yonebayashi, the Ghibli director.
Yes.
He is awful, and all of his movies are bad.
So he's the one who directed.
Hold on, I'll be right back. Actually.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'll just explain to the audience while you come back. Hiromasa Yonebayashi is the one who directed, I believe, Arrietty and When Marnie Was There. So, and also he directed Mary and the Witch's Flower, which I am not the biggest fan of, but we have a whole podcast about that one.
It's pretty great. Check it out. Corrupting Your Kids.
Is that guy back yet?
Give him 5 more seconds.
Meme
5,
manifest. You've got like
4, 3, 2. Bye-bye.
All right, yeah, you took way the fuck too long. We got a show to do here. Get your shit organized, people.
Eclipse.
He probably
Eclipse,
just
you're
had
in.
something come up. I'm gonna feel like a real dick if like someone in his family exploded. That's why he had to
Yeah,
go.
you can message me if he had something, whatever.
Who we have now?
Okay, this guy's not here either.
We're
Oh, wait,
only
no,
gonna
I
do one
clicked
more
the
because it's
button.
already
Never
past
mind,
9.
Never mind. Okay, he's in here now.
Who do we have?
Eclipse.
Eclipse. What's
Yeah,
going
hello?
on? What you want to argue about?
Hey, so I want to argue 2 things in particular, and
Right.
both of them come from your Plebe in the Weeb for ReZero.
Okay.
I want to argue for the I Love Emilia scene.
Okay.
I think I want to argue that it basically will lead to a much better story in the future, and it did lead to a much better story in the show itself. The main thing I want to argue about that is because it could have been like so easy for like whoever wrote the show or whoever wrote the light novels to just have this what's it called, this 3-way romance or this love triangle between Subaru, Ram, and Emilia, where and it would have been so easy, and it would have even like, made more fans happy because Ram wouldn't have been rejected so early.
Right.
But I think it was a really ballsy move by the author to outright reject Rem and outright like forbid that love triangle from happening by making Subaru's love interest like clear from the start.
Right.
But yeah, and I also want to argue for Subaru's character, but I want to see if you have any response to.
In response to that, that's an interesting point. I mean, I don't think it improves the scene itself to suggest that, but I guess if you're coming at it from the angle of like, wow, they actually dumped one of the girls, I can see why that would be interesting to some people.
Okay. My main argument, it's like something else. In the Bleed and the Weeb and in your podcast with Mother's Basement, one of your main issues with the show seems to be Subaru. I mean, that's where most of your complaints are. And in my personal opinion, I think he's like one of the most unique and one of the main reasons I love ReZero so much. Because, first of all, the concept of like someone dying over and over again and then seeing the like the after effects of that, and then being explored so much, and how he like loses his mind midway through the series.
Yeah.
I think that's like really, really incredibly fascinating. I know many people tend to like Subaru because it's like, oh, it's his image of an otaku and so deep and whatever. But I'm talking about him as a character himself, like as Subaru, not as a metaphor for otaku.
Right.
I love how he like starts out in the show, like the first 12 episodes or 12, 11 episodes, where he's like this like super heroic character. He has like a really nice sense of humor, and you know, like, he's super likable. And then midway through the series, he has this character arc where he like kind of goes crazy, and like the effects of like respawning over and over again, like kind of mess with his mental head. And then in the last 5 episodes, he kind of like redeems himself. And my favorite moment of the whole series, in the end, with Emilia, when he confesses to Emilia, and Emilia says, like, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's fine, I'll wait for you to love me. I really think that Super is like incredibly unique. I think he's like one of my personal favorite anime characters ever. So I'd like to hear like some of your arguments why you think he's a bad character, or why you didn't really enjoy his character so much.
I think that the reasons that you're stating are interesting things about him, but that I just don't like the way he's written. Like, I think that those themes are cool, but like, for instance, the way he loses his mind, it just, and as I understand it, this might be portrayed differently in the light novels, but just going on the anime, it just felt like he gave up so fast. Like, his mind just unraveled at the drop of a hat. And then the second he has this conversation with Rem, like, because first of all, he gives up after 4 rounds. Like, we see him go through 4 times, and after he's exhausted just a small stable of options, which I could have thought of 1,000 other ideas of what he could have done, you know, just based on what was being presented. It just felt like he gave up so quick, and then the second he got confidence again after, like, that speech, he immediately figures out the solution. And it was like, well, maybe you should have just thought about it for, like, half a fucking second, you know? And granted, I understand the situation he's in is is extremely stressful, and I've never experienced dying again and again, so, you know, how can I say? But at the same time, that's a disconnect I now have with the character. Like, I don't understand what it's like to die over and over again, so maybe give me something I can connect with better to
Yeah,
be
I
his
understand that point,
characterization, you know?
but I'd argue I think you're forgetting something near the beginning of the series. It's not that he gave up so fast. In like episode 7 or 8, where Ram dies, and then and everyone's like blaming him, and you're like, "Can you do something?" And he's like, "No," and he like runs away, and and then the episode right after it, he's like crying in Emilia's lap. He's like, "Fucking hell! Like this is all I can't like handle all of this." I think even at that point he was like struggling a bit, and then in the middle of the series where before that, I mean, in episode 12 where he like kind of goes a little crazy, where he's like Emilia, like you literally owe me for saving you, and then like she just tells him. Like she outright rejects him and walks away, and then right after that, in episode 15, he gets like super tortured by Battle Keys. I think all these together are enough reason for someone to go insane. I mean, if you're just looking at it from the middle of the series, then yeah, maybe it happened too fast. But if you're looking at it through the whole series, like in episode 7 and 8, and all the things leading up to it, I do think it happened naturally. But I think that's just a matter of perspective at this point.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he's just. I mean, I don't even necessarily know if I think that he is a bad character so much as just not the character I want to watch, you know? That, like, it could just be because he's a lot younger, and I mean, because I think of, like, Steins Gate, and it has a similar sort of plot where there's this moment where, you know, after having gone through this time loop over and over again, like, Okabe is, you know, starting to lose hope, but at no point did I ever feel like he was making decisions I couldn't see myself make in that situation. You know, like, I always felt like he was exhausting every single possibility, and that's why he's at the end of his rope. With Subaru, it's like he's exhausted like 4 possibilities and then fucking just lost it. And granted, I don't think that's saying that's like not even necessarily bad writing. It's just a character that makes me go like, "Oh, you little fuckboy, get over it." You know, but
okay,
you know.
yeah, you do have a point, but I actually knew you were gonna bring up Steins Gate, and I do think there's there is a similarity between both of them.
Yeah.
In fact, like the events that happen are very similar, but I think why I think that ReZero did better is because in Steins Gate, like somewhere near the middle, he like keeps like switching word lines, like the focus stops being that he's like suffering, and like he kind of develops this like really weird love harem, like the girl.
It does get weird in the middle a little bit.
Yeah. I think that takes away the focus from it, and that's why like I felt it's a lot less impactful. Whereas in ReZero, it's literally like all of the focus is on him suffering and going insane, and then regaining his like.
And that's I think that's fair to say. If that's the part of ReZero that resonates with you super hard, and that's why you like it more than Steins Gate, I think that's fair. What I like about Steins Gate mostly has to do with the first 9 episodes, and just
Alright, I'm starting to see the next.
Well, this is going to be the last caller we have anyways.
Oh, I told 2 people they can come on because they had mic problems.
Oh, well, I fucking said that we were only going to do one more guy.
Hey, I told them they can come on.
Alright, well, fine.
Well, yeah, thank you for, what's it called, for answering me, and, goodbye.
Yeah, no problem. I didn't quite actually finish, but whatever. He excused himself anyways.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that, like, why I love Steins Gate is more because I love the characterization, and, like, so with ReZero, you know, I just never formed that bond the way I did at the start of Steins Gate.
Alright, need manifest? You got 1 topic.
Alright. Okay, so Hiromasa Yonebayashi, he worked on...
Yes, that's right. We were going to talk about
Marnie, Arietti, and Mary and the Witch's Flower.
Yeah.
Now, Arietti I don't think was his fault, because he didn't write it, which is my problem with all of his movies.
That he doesn't write them? That's your problem?
No, that he's a bad writer.
Oh.
I think all of them are directed fine, but all of the characters...
I mean,
completely unlikable.
Arietti was good or bad, though?
Arietti I'm pretty indifferent towards, and that's also because of the writing.
That one's written by Miyazaki.
Yeah, I think the resolution of that movie is really bad.
You know, the resolution is my least favorite part of that movie. I did feel that I felt like it was weird. Not even
Like
that it
the
was necessarily bad, but just that it felt weird, and it didn't feel like it concluded the way that it seemed to be setting up to.
Yeah, the fact that the kid didn't confront the woman at the end, instead just tried to avoid all conflict with her.
And why didn't they give them the house? I never understood why he didn't just give them the house.
There was no attempt at diplomacy.
Yeah, it's weird. That makes me uncomfortable too, but otherwise I love that movie.
But Marnie, my problem with that movie is that it hits you over the head with all the clues towards the like twist ending, and then it gives like this big emotional spiel about everything that it's hit you over the head with, but it's just re-explaining things that it's made very obvious, but with sappy music.
To be honest, I barely remember when Marnie was there. I don't think I'm going to disagree with you too much on this argument, honestly, because I mean, I didn't dislike when Marnie was there or Mary, but, like, I didn't get as much out of them. I have, I've seen other people talk about them. There was this one girl, I don't fucking remember her name because she hasn't made anything in a while, but she had done an analysis video on when Marnie was there that was mostly about personal connections she felt with the character. So... I understand why people would appreciate the movie for reasons such as that, but yeah, I didn't get that engrossed in the plot of it, personally.
And then Mary, I just thought was completely creatively bankrupt.
I agree.
Just
but me and May had a whole fucking podcast where we
Yeah.
argued about that, so...
That's why I didn't bring that one up much. But I guess we don't have an argument, so...
Yeah, sorry, I guess my opinions on when Marty was there have never really been out there in the ether. I mean, I thought it was an okay movie, I just can't remember much of it, so... Whether or not I would still think it's good would depend on me watching it again, I think. Let's have this argument again once I've watched the movie and decided an opinion on it.
After the Ghibli cast.
Yeah, surely. Well, that'll be a while, because it's one of the later movies, but... Alright, well, who's the other person you had to bring in? Can I just say, by the way, that now that right before we started this stream, I went and, like, for 20 minutes just kind of figured out the game, and now I love it. Now I remember why this is one of my favorite games. Because,
Hi.
Hello, who we have? Rizzy, you here?
I'm here. Sorry,
Awesome.
my mic was just being weird, so I had to restart my computer and everything.
What did you want to argue about?
Argue about a place further than the universe.
Okay. What's your argument?
So, I watched your video, or fail on your main channel, and how you kind of and how you talked about you dropped in your reasons why, and I do think you made some valid points, but A Place Further Than the Universe is actually one of my favorite anime of all time, and I kind of just want to talk about why, because the reasons are somewhat personal, I'd say, because it's just a show that really connected with me on an emotional level, where often gravitate towards anime that inspire me and make me feel like I can really achieve things, because most of the time I have very low self-confidence.
Right.
So, these girls in A Place Within the Universe went through a lot of the same struggles that I have went through, and as a teenage girl, I can really relate to them.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously I, as a 26-year-old man, probably can't relate to them as well. Sorry.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were cut off for a second there.
Yeah, I feel as though I'm at the perfect part of
life
for being an anime fan right now.
I
Most things are for me.
Oh yeah, I think well, the way you're describing it sounds a lot like the way I felt about, like, when I was 17. Like, my favorite anime were Gurren Lagann and Eureka 7, because both of them were like a young man coming of age, following his goals, getting the girl, learning to become himself, actualizing, So I mean I totally get that why a show like that might resonate with you if those are the kind of things that you got out of it. For me, it's only because I've already watched a bunch of other anime about these topics that I think it's a lot easier. I guess what I'm saying is I'm jaded. I guess I'm just jaded is what I'm trying to say. Like I think it's totally understandable to love that show. And, when I make a video like mine, I don't expect other people to end up feeling the same way per se. It's more like when I dropped it, people were like, I can't believe you don't like this show and it's just like K-On! And I'm like, well, hold on, because the reasons I like K-On! are not those reasons. They have nothing to do with the reasons that you like this show. So I'm glad that you seem to acknowledge that difference. I mean, surely you would not compare it to K-On! So flippantly, right?
K-On! Is my favorite anime.
Yeah.
And A Place Further Than the Universe is number 2. And although there's some reasons why I like K-On! That I also like A Place Further Than the Universe, where with A Place Further Than the Universe, I felt as though I was one of these girls' friends, and as I saw these girls grow and develop and go through struggles, I felt like I was alongside them, helping them, and it was just really satisfying to see this.
I'm so glad that there are more and more anime made for, like, young girls. It's exciting.
Do you think that A Place Further Than the Universe was more aimed at girls?
I think I would have liked it a lot more if I saw it 10 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, like, because that's an interesting thought because of the fact that I would probably have, much in the same way that people tend to pigeonhole K-On! As a moe show, but I've made the argument that it isn't necessarily. I mean, both of them are directed and written by women. It's very possible that they had more of a teenage girl audience in mind than than a fucking guy who just wants to watch cute girls.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot more people, like a lot more girls who are getting into anime. You're seeing a lot more female animators. I think it's just really cool, and I'm glad you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I'm always glad anyone enjoys a show, even if it's SAO. If you can get something out of it, if it makes you feel, that's what really matters. You should probably, if you have any ambitions of such, you should just make a video about why you like the show. Make a counter video to mine.
Have a YouTube channel. I'm very inspired by you, and immediately after I finished it, I made this just unscripted, retarded rants.
Mm-hmm.
But once I feel as though maybe after a rewatch of it, I do want to, make a really heavily edited and scripted video kind of talking about why it means so much to me, because I basically got into anime when I started middle school and started going through puberty, and this has been a time in my life that has been really rough for me and very depressing because I've had a lot of problems with school and friends and things like that, but been there for me to cover me and also courage. Anime fills me with with almost a sense of
belonging, community.
Belonging, I guess. Where
just try to find some words.
I'm a little nervous right now because I'm oh my god,
You're doing great.
Digibro.
Yeah, it's understandable. I totally relate to the things you're saying. I also got into anime in middle school as an awkward teen. By the way, I've seen what you look like, and you look exactly like I looked at your age, which is really funny, especially because I am not a girl, but I did look like that.
We looked identical when we were.
Yeah, but you also, the same. But I think that it's really important that anime connects to people in that way, and a lot of the shows that I liked when I was younger that I did find some power in, I don't like anymore, but and I can still respect them for those reasons. I've always been somebody who kind of throws things under the bus as soon as I don't like it anymore. I'm just like, oh well, it turns out it was shit all along, and I don't care anymore. But I think there's always a place for shows that you know, might not be perfect, but have something strong to say that a certain audience is going to resonate with very strongly, you know, and like I certainly don't begrudge the existence of A Place Further Than the Universe. I think it's great that so many people like it. But at the same time, if nobody raises the opposition point, then, you know, my side of the story never gets heard, so I gotta shit on it too, just to keep things balanced.
I was gonna mention that as a queer girl, anime has also helped me a lot in that way, where a lot of, you know, Yuri anime have really kind of helped me figure out my sexuality. And one of the first anime I ever completed was Oran High School Host Club, and like seeing how she didn't give a shit about people trying to put her in this box and expect her, oh, you're a girl, so you have to act this certain way. It was really comforting for me, and like really just unmotivated that I don't know what I'm doing with my life. But anime kind of, first of all, it's helped me meet all of my best friends, and through anime, it's a medium that I'm very passionate about, and it's also that I can really look up to. And through anime, you know, I kind of got into your channel, and you've really inspired me to pursue art, mainly analytical YouTube videos. And even though my channel, I feel as though I'm still very new and growing, and that I have a lot I need to improve on.
Amen, sister. Me too.
Thanks, May. It's like, I always say I want to be the lesbian Digibro. That's my dream.
I wish I could be the lesbian Digibro, god damn it. But I'm glad someone out there will take up the mantle. Alright, well, it was nice to hear from you. This is not really an argument anymore, though, so I have to kick you off the show. So,
see ya.
Alright, peace out. I think that's going to be it for this one, because it's been like 2.5 goddamn hours.
It has.
Alright, everybody, see you next time on Digibro vs. Everybody. This show, by the way, is on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. In case that is somehow still not understood by everybody, that's at least through like the start of next month, because we have to do like 8 streams in 30 days in order to become an affiliate and make any money off of this. And since it seems like YouTube is making a lot of really weird fuck-ups, and Twitch is like where everybody's trying to fucking, you know, have their second source of income, I figure I might as well get on that boat in the only way that made sense to me, and that's how this show was born. Because, you know, I'm not good at video games, and no one wants to watch me play video games, but people will listen to me argue while I fucking fuck around in PSO. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Bye.
Bye, everybody.